All right, before we get started with what did Prince do this week, I want to give a very special tribute to the one and only Uncle Roy Warriors. And one of my favorite songs is Life is Just a Moment. I'm going to try to sing it. If I don't sing it, I'm going to say it. So if you know the song, sing along with me. We got some words on here, even though we're not going to do the first verse twice like it is in the song. So I'm going to see if I can do this. All right. Life is just a moment. So enjoy it. Life will take you out and bring you back in. Don't waste no time thinking about it. You do your destiny. Yeah, yeah. Move on, move on, move on. And then everybody should know the bass line. Doom, 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 doom. All right, and that's enough of that. But I
Okay.
just want to do that for Uncle Roy, who has
Wow.
brought me so much joy. And we want to make sure we wish everyone love around where airs and where airs music.
Hmm.
Rest and Groove, 1940 Michael Dean until 2025.
Wow. Yeah. Salute to Roy Ayers, man. I think if even if you don't know it, his music is probably a hit every generation. You've heard it in something else, or you just heard it and you didn't know it. But yeah, salute to him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was a wild week.
Yes, a very, very wild week, and we're not finished. So
Yeah.
um this is the rest of these. I'm not gonna sing it, but life is just a moment. This is the second verse, so enjoy it. Life is beautiful and free, and with your heart open to others, and you will find your destiny.
Mm.
Beautiful song. I put it in the accompanying playlist. If you've never heard it, you're in for a treat. And then obviously, we have to say
Mm.
rest in power to the
Mm.
one and only Duane Wiggins of Tony, 1961 to 2025.
Mm.
Tony, and the Wiggins brothers has given us so much music over the years.
Absolutely. Man, I never met this brother, but I was a big fan. The Tony albums, I've said this before. To me, those are how people talk about the Beatles. And that's my Beatles. Uh, that's
Mm.
Wayne was our big brother that we didn't know, but he represented that big brother. You know what I'm saying? Love it, man. Love that, bro. Love everything they do. What I hate that I didn't get to see the last run that they did, but I'm glad that they did it. And man, slow wine, and he had cuts. They had cuts. So yeah, salute to their family. Salute to Raphael Sadiq, that's his brother. So yeah, man, what a
Yeah,
track.
cuts for days. They be cutting. They were
Yeah,
just
they're beautiful.
all right. And again, we just have to make sure we say rest in peace because I didn't realize that Dwayne and Angie were born in the same year. So
Mm,
1961. And we also want to make sure, because we didn't have an opportunity to do this last time, to say rest in peace to the one and only Roberta Flack.
absolutely. Mm,
And this is one of my favorite photographers, Jack Robinson. And this is from a shoot from one of her album covers. And I just really love the shoot and her voice, and her legacy will live on forever. So I just really wanted to take time to, I love this from Dr. Claw, rest in peace to all these greats.
yes,
So many people. It's just kind of crazy how many people are leaving us. So it's been a really heavy week, like Kim is saying here. And Nick, you gotta listen to where it airs. And Tony. Your ears will love you for it. And welcome, Heavenly Beings.
yes, yes.
Yes. And I love this D68A. Everybody loves the sunshine. That's right.
Classic.
Classic, classic, classic. All right. So we're going to
Yeah, and
go ahead.
TP, absolutely. Chris Jasper, absolutely. Rest in peace.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
Mm,
Yes. Okay, so we are here for the music. That's the reason why we're here, and also for Prince. And we are week 10 of What Did Prince Do This Week? So you know what we got to play, Michael Dean, if it's week 10 of What Did Prince Do This Week?
I'm feeling some either 10 or 10 and a half or something.
Yeah.
Can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
I hear it way in a... Yeah, I can't hear it at all.
Let me see my settings.
At least I can. I can seem like I can hear it way in the background.
I see what's wrong now. There we go. Hold on.
Bring it back.
Okay. We're going to do it again. So my audio settings are all off. So maybe I sound better too. Is that it now?
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right, Michael Dane, who is this? Michael Dean, who is on all these instruments? With the little Eric leads on the sax.
That's what
Yes. Yes. Kim knows what's going on. You're not late, LTK. Yes, we're blessed by all of them. I'm always ready for 10. Michael Dean, this song never gets old.
Never. None of these songs get old.
Well, yeah, there you go.
They're just screaming to be released to the world. They want another run. They want a proper run. That's what we need, a proper house run, man. I need to get a release it button.
We did a release it button for sure. What up, though, Andre? I love, Game Boys dancing hard in the video.
Yes. Who's dancing that? You know, I love it.
Yes.
And we need the return of Mancina as well. Like, come on, man, these people are here.
Manisa.
It's the remix.
Yeah, this is the remix. Gotta play the long. I always play the long version, Michael Dean. We ain't got time for edits.
I'm with you.
All right. We're going week to week, not date to date, for What Did Prince Do This Week? And this is the detailed schedule. You can follow it on Bitly or this QR code. You do not need the paperback, but this is the one that has oh my God. Welcome, baby love. Yes, we always miss Prince. That's why we are here every week. We miss him so. All right, these will be archived at Polished Solid and as well as at MD. Oh, that's funny, LTK. I have no flow.
I can see that would be a cold little. We're going to take today. Like, yo, damn.
You're going to have to start doing that, Michael.
No, we need you to do it. That would make it more dope.
No.
We're going week to week, not day to day. We didn't come to play. MPG on that. All right.
Yeah. All right. Hashtag WDPDTW. We're counting down to the end of the Purple Rain Tour. And if you want to come on and talk about your experience, you got a few more weeks, but not many. So if you want to come on and talk about your Purple Rain Tour experience, WDPDTW@gmail.com. And if you have anything you want to share, like photos, is what I would really love. We would or t-shirts, or you in a t-shirt, whatever. Just so, yep. So next week, we are going to be talking about Long Beach, California. So if you went to the Long Beach, California shows, reach out, wdpdtw@gmail.com. And then we'll also be talking about Rough and I Don't Want to Stop. So let's see. Let's do another quiz this week. Who eventually got I Don't Want to Stop? Anybody know that in the chat? Because Prince didn't officially release it, but somebody else did. Let's see. Yeah, where is Pretty Ricky and Big Sexy? That's what we want to know.
Exactly. Ricky's in the chat. In the chat is what they call him.
Yeah, Man Ray 10 got it. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's okay.
Ren Woods. And
I don't know if I heard this one. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. And we got April. So this is a really good question. And the only reason why we're able to play this is because it's not on anything. It's not on.
Much, yeah.
It's not. Yeah, that's the reason why. So
which is a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great for us to be able to play like this, but it's ridiculous that this good music, this part of Prince, it's still in the vault.
It's still in the vault.
Or unless you had the old school release.
Yeah. All right. This is an independent endeavor. The estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. And remember our community guidelines. We choose to be a community even when we disagree. That's totally okay. All right.
Just imagine being in the studio, yo, Kent, let me play you this remix. You ain't ready for this.
Love this remix. More like, I guess it's more like an extended mix or something like that. I don't know.
You know what I always thought would be interesting or funny if we come to find out that these Madhouse songs had vocals.
Oh,
that would be my head would go.
Michael, I've never thought about that.
Great.
That would be insane. Oh my goodness. Hello, Lee Christian. That's right, Nick.
Side to side.
You can't help but move. If you're not into this, I just don't know what can't.
We gotta do like a podcast of all of the stage Princes. Taking your hand. Oh man, don't get me started. What was like the prep he was doing?
That was the brushing of the teeth always killed me. Oh my God! Yes. All right, you gotta love him. Oh yes, and we can't forget the way. It's like,
absolutely.
For sure. All right. Hopefully your spirits are up if you've been down, because the perfect 10 is the perfect 10. It's the perfect way to get your heartbeat up and in a good mood. All right. So week 10 of What Did Prince Do This Week? This is our 113th episode. This week, Prince did 5 live shows, and 3 of them were in Daly City, so continuing the Daly City run. And then 2 of them are in LaCruces, New Mexico. And the reason why they're black, because I didn't have them black last week, because I forgot about this, they didn't sell out. So these are so far the only when Purple Rain Tour started really cooking, this is the only time I feel like it's been not sold out. So really interesting there. And, we got some articles to read. We don't have as many as usual, or they're very, very short, but some really interesting articles this week. And I wanted to read this one called Fans Rush to Purchase Prince Concert Tickets. And here we go. The tickets priced at $17.50 were limited to 4 per person. Still, many fans were disappointed. So nothing has changed. fans were disappointed in 1984, and they're disappointed now. Always disappointed. All right, so it's a big ripoff, said Doug Navas, 31, one of many who didn't get tickets at a San Francisco outlet. Prince should have done more shows, said Monica Martorano, who added that she had waited in line in Berkeley for 7 hours. I would have been pissed too if I had.
That was a whole shift.
Yes.
Still
And
didn't get no tickets.
still didn't get the tickets. I mean, of course she's salty. Well, I would be too. The shows are scheduled for February 27th, 28th, March 1st, and March 3rd and 5th. We're talking about the Daly City Cow Palace performances that we've been talking about. There was some shoving in line, but few other problems. One man, Derek Jones, 27, was arrested in San Francisco for grand theft, accused of stealing 4 tickets from a concert goer.
Damn.
Jones was nabbed by a reporter and photographer for the San Francisco Chronicle who covered the story of the long wait for tickets. Photographer Frederick Larson and reporter Mark Barabak chased Jones through side streets before he was caught trying to hide in a doorway.
Well, I don't know. So, man, they was doing that back. It was the purple ticket thieving. Like, wow. He was running down the streets.
What? Oh, I had to read this one. I was like, oh my God, this is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. I didn't realize they were like purple jacking back and forth.
That's a fan. That's the fanatic. That's a fanatic Prince was talking about.
Oh my God. All right. And then this is the article I didn't read last week, but I just want us to look at these pictures one more time because they're just so amazing in case you did not see them last time. So and then this is one of my favorite photos. Love this photo. It looks so gothic. All right, so I'm gonna read this one. It's a little long, but I think it's worth it. Okay, so where did I want to start? It's easy to say that it was too predictable a show, a fleshed out reenactment of Purple Rain, the largest grossing rock musical film ever, and the top selling album of 1984, still in the top 10 in 1985. But it was an event, maybe the biggest musical event we'll have this year, and it was exciting. No doubt about it, Prince is a pop music genius whose brilliance usually makes up for his excess. Most of the audience, nearly 13,000 each night at the long ago sold out shows, had not seen Prince except on frequent television appearances, including Tuesday's finale of the Grammy Awards. This is actually a really good point to point out. Like, this is for a lot of people their first time seeing Prince live, which is pretty incredible, to do so. Any Prince live is just an event. So for many, it didn't matter what he did, so long as they got to be in the same hall with him. That's how I felt at my first concert. I didn't care if he was singing Mary Had a Little Lamb. I was just happy to be in the meeting, as my family says. Prince whirled and twirled, did his new wave James Brown and Little Richard bits, slid down poles, leaped atop tall risers, and stood bathed in one of the best lighting displays ever used in a concert. But what really made the difference, at least for this reviewer, was Prince's attitude. Gone were the sneer and pout, the chip on the shoulder, defensive approach of past years where he seemed to want to prove he was better than the competition. They were replaced by an ebullient smile and pure confidence. Prince radiated happiness on stage, and so did the rest of the band. He began with a half-hour blitz of his hits from the opening Let's Go Crazy through 1999 and Little Red Corvette to a surprising rearrangement of Free, the best song from his 1999 album. Then a slow half-hour followed with too much Prince talking, fondling himself, taking a bath, nearly disrobing, doing a constant sex tease juxtaposed with religious references. Finally, with the previous momentum dissipated, he brought the band back and began the long build to the final encore, the cathartic Purple Rain. This was the Bay Area's first chance to see new guitarist Wendy Melvoin, and Prince gave her plenty of opportunity to play lead parts. Keyboardist Lisa Coleman and Matt Fink traded riffs, while drummer and bassist Brown Mark held down the rhythms. I like reading reviews where they actually acknowledge the other musicians and actually know their names. And in this particular case, they actually spelled everybody's names correctly. So I think this is a person who actually kind of knows their music, which is great. For the first encore, I Would Die For You and Baby I'm a Star, the Revolution was joined by Oakland's, I love that, by Oakland's Sheila Eats band and a bunch of friends. Even Jerome Ballet to Morris Day of the Time did a complex dance routine with Prince. Michael Dean, could you do that dance routine that Prince and Jerome does? Like, can you do it from memory? Like, is it a complex dance routine?
Well, it might not be complex for us.
So,
But, for some people that might be. Wait, what beat is that again? Right? Oh, too much too tight. You need to shake your hand like.
So I thought that was pretty funny. Through it all, the crowd went crazy, standing en masse from the beginning to the end. And what a crowd. I have rarely encountered an audience so polite and considerate of each other. The heavy security force, including dozens of Daly City police, was out of place. Where are they when they need it? Where are they when they're needed at Cow Palace Hard Rock concerts? I'm going to read this one more time because I love this because this is important. The heavy security force, including dozens of Daly City police, was out of place. In parentheses, he writes, where are they when they're needed at Cow Palace Hard Rock concerts? Show promoter Bill Graham spent much of the concert personally clearing fans from one aisle near the stage. The teens brought the high energy, and older folks seemed to get caught up in it too. After all the predictions of just who would show up, it turned out to be one of the most racially and sexually integrated groups, ranging from very young to old. Prince protege Sheila E. and her wild band gave a 50-minute opening segment that was long on show, short on music, a virtual repeat of her Wolfgang's debut a few months back. The band is top-notch, from group choreography to Sheila's percussionist brother, Juan Escovedo's two-tone hairdo. But her show dragged when she spent too much time on costume changes and silly strip teases. She's too talented for such juvenile tricks, and they definitely cloak her glamorous life in sleaze. When Prince plays sex games, it's silly, but when the older and taller Oaklander flaunts herself in see-through body stockings, it's embarrassing. Obviously, her record company's attempt to clean up her act and market her as a class performer failed. So this is like one of the most brutal reviews of Sheila's segment of the show that I've read, which is
like somebody who's really familiar with her.
Yeah.
At that point, it sounds like.
Yeah, because this is Oakland, right? This is the Tribune from Oakland, so I'm sure they have probably been covering her. I've seen her in a lot of concerts, and this is probably they're not used to seeing her this way. All right, so really quickly, this is from the Minneapolis Tribune, and this is Mr. John Bream. Everybody should know who John Bream is, but in case you don't, he is the journalist who has written about Prince the longest out of anybody. And we are grateful for all the coverage that John Bream has done. All right. Revolution drummer Bobby Z said the 10-day stay in Los Angeles had been pretty crazy, in quotes, but that the Grammys made it worthwhile. And then again, in quotes, it's about time the music industry recognized Prince for all he's contributed. This is actually a really good point, because this isn't Prince's first album. It's not his second album. It's not his third album. It's not his fourth. It's not. And so it took him quite a while to get recognized, by Grammys and things of that nature. And I think in today's world, artists just don't get that opportunity to develop and grow. They kind of have to, be a hit out the box. So I'm grateful that Prince came up when he did in the music industry. And it says, but most people who have worked with Prince will not acknowledge him because that's the way he prefers it. For instance, when Sheena Easton was asked at the Grammys what it was like to work with Prince on her R&B and dance hit Sugar Walls, she said, next question. 3 minutes later, in another interview, she was asked a similar question and said she had never worked with Prince. Meanwhile, Prince and the Revolution's new album, Around the World in a Day, is expected to be released this month. Crazy. All right, we got somebody We're gonna be joined by someone we've been missing. Come on, Nancy Lee.
What up?
Morning.
What's going on?
We're doing good. So there's no sports this week. Are sports over? I don't.
No, they're not over, but we don't have any more home basketball games. They got 2 games on the road, so the boys and the girls. So I don't have any more home games. So I get to be with y'all for a minute until tournament time.
Nice.
Right on, man. We glad you're back, and you came prepared with the Paisley shirt. Love it.
Yeah, looking clean.
Yeah. Even when things get crazy, I be wearing Paisley. Shout out.
To the Tonys.
There you go.
Yeah. That's right. We got C. Lee in the building. All right. So much love for C. Lee. All right. So here we go to the next slide. And Michael Dean, if you don't mind reading about March 3rd, matinee.
Right. All right, hold on. Give me a second. All right. Sunday, March 3rd, 1985. Matinee performance. Venue was Cow Palace, Daly City?
Yep, Daly City.
California. Capacity 13,083, sold out. Prince began the show with Controversy, followed by the usual opener, Let's Go Crazy. Controversy had been played sporadically as an instrumental part of Take Me With You, but not performed in its entirety on the tour. But it was a standard soundcheck song for the Revolution. So it was an easy way for Prince to keep the show unique. They also played Raspberry Beret instead of Possessed. Wow. That's crazy. I wonder, did he go from what is he? Do Me Baby? Is that usually goes into it? That's interesting. Huh. That's an odd choice. I wouldn't. Where's my 25? 25. Wait.
Yeah. But the thing, yeah.
A little different that night, I guess.
A little different. Just a little.
I love it.
All right. So here's a ticket. I love this ticket. 1, because it's purple. And 2, it's vertical. That's super rare. And I can't, it's like a penguin or something in the back.
Actually, we don't see it.
Oh, thank you. There you go. I was just in my own world, enjoying the ticket.
He was doing another stream.
Yeah.
See, this my ticket. Y'all get y'all own ticket.
That's for the membership.
There you go. You got to come to the Patreon. It's the members only.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. So D68A, Michael Dean saying irresistible being to Raspberry Beret.
Oh, okay. He must have been feeling like, yeah, you know what? A new time.
You know what? When you bring that up, and it's remember when Prince showed up for the Brian Gumble, when Brian Gumble was
yeah.
I've always felt like what was buried in the lead was how funky he got when he went into the lyrics just for Brian Gumble. Like that's some of Prince's funkiest moment, but that was also one of the moments I went, oh damn, Raspberry Beret is funky. Like I liked it. I always loved it. But when you listen to Prince, so I tell anybody in the chat, if you haven't seen it, wait, it's Brian Gumble. He was leaving, and Prince showed up and surprised. And for those of you who weren't living that in real time, Prince wearing that suit was a running joke with Brian Gumble. So you kind of got to go back to a few, because Prince had been interviewed by Brian Gumble, and Brian Gumble asked him, would you wear these slacks? Would you wear my shoes? And Prince like, hell no, right? And then, of course, when Prince goes to get, I think some award from Essence, they said they had a surprise for Prince. And Prince said, I thought the surprise was going to be Brian Gumble dressed as me, right? So that was so you had to get that. So Prince shows up in the JCPenney suit. By the way, I like my JCPenney suit back in the day, so ain't no shade at JCPenney's, by the way. So, but when you talk about irresistible bitch into Raspberry Beret, like that moment was the moment I was like, oh, and just to end it, the fact that it's so funky then, and it's even funkier along with Paisley Park on the piano, microphone and piano, the first Paisley Park show, where he does like a run of, it's a Ray Charles song, I think Unchain My Heart, and then he does Unchained My, and they're not all together, but it's Unchained My Heart, Paisley Park, and Raspberry Beret is kind of in there. And those 3 moments are the moments when I really understood just how funky Raspberry Beret was, and we really were sleeping on how funky that groove was. I'll shut up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep it moving. So
we gotta get a T-shirt with that. I shut up.
Oh wow, we would be like making millions off of that. We'll cut you in, Celie.
We're thinking about cutting you in. We'll name the publishing company after you. At least we'll do that.
Look at my name. My name might appear in the ASCAP notes.
There you go. At least let the people think.
There you go.
All right, we're being petty today. All right, March 4th. Celie, can you do the duties?
Yes.
I was gonna do the Dougie.
I'm so tongue-tied today. I don't understand.
Y'all like my Dougie?
Lord.
Look at it. That's an old man Dougie if there ever was one. That's an old ass man Dougie right there. My back hurting right now. All right, there's my four. Venue, Cal Palace, Daly City, California. Capacity 13,083, sold out. Allen Leeds. I spent 5 years working for James Brown, who was similarly prolific and self-motivated, but Prince made James Brown seem lazy. It was a freak of nature. Wow, that's a heck of a statement. During the sound check, Prince had the band run through 17 days. He apparently enjoyed how it came together, and like the previous evening, Let's Go Crazy became the second song in the set, and that date after opening with 17 days.
Nice. Wow.
All right. So I'm loving this comment from Theo in the chat. A shirt with I'll shut up, work it like a job, love sexy, shake, hashtag WDP.
Oh.
Whole series.
We got the work it like a job shirts now.
Oh, we do have the work it like a job shirt. Yes. Yes, absolutely. I don't know if you can do a banner. You should be able to do a banner, Michael Dean, if you want.
Next time, yeah.
Yep. Let's see.
Shake.
I wanted to hear about this. So K Cool Music said that the Dolby exclusive one-day screening of Purple Rain Wednesday was awesome. Did anybody else attend? I know that Audria did. Did anybody else go? And was the Dolby experience all that you wanted it to be?
I heard it was great. I didn't get to go, but I heard it was great.
Let's see. And I love this. James was busy sweating. Those memes be taking me out. Yeah. And see, Theo said, I need one then, Michael Dean, for working like a job. All right. And Karan saw it, Purple Rain in New York City. And Tanja. Yes. All right. Okay. Next is the ticket for the Monday Daly City show. It's blue. I love this one.
Now, where exactly in relation to LA or San Diego or the Bay is Daly City?
I did not look that up, but Arthur's coming on and ask that question of Arthur, and he will know. I didn't go that much of a deep dive of my research because I was doing the slide deck. So let's see. Oakland. So it's near Oakland. So I got a text saying Oakland. So maybe it's closer to Oakland.
It's apropos for this week then.
Yes. All right. So Michael Dean, Tuesday, March 5th.
You said it like jelly bean. Again, Cal Palace, Daly City, California, knows how to party. Capacity is 13,000. Sold out. The sound check included Prince playing bass on a few instrumental jams that contain elements of the then unreleased Jerk Out and Chocolate. Prince also sings a line from Jesse Johnson's recently released Be Your Man. Wow, that came out at this point. That's interesting to me. The following day, everyone traveled to, y'all gonna help me out, LaCruces, New Mexico, for the next show. So my man's, it's interesting that to me is like he's making a point to do songs that are sort of related to the time. I wonder what sort of spawned that. Like, oh, I'm gonna do Jerk Out, knowing that these songs didn't come out, knowing that one of the other guys is already doing his own thing. Be Your Man. That's interesting. I wonder what was going on that particular sound check that led up to that.
My question is, if anybody has the audio for this show, for the sound check, did he do the original Jerk Out lyrics?
Interesting.
And so I'm going to put some homework.
We say instrumental jam on here.
Oh, it's instrumental only? Okay, so it's instrumental only. So I'm just going to give some homework to people in the chat, and I'm not going to say anything else. Go Google the original lyrics for Jerk Out. That's all I'm going to say. So, because I do think that's important that people know what those lyrics were to kind of understand where Prince's mind was all the time. Because we get lost on who he was and what was important to him and what was he about. And those kind of lyrics, like those original Jerk Out lyrics, I think give a more well-rounded context to who Prince always was. That's it.
All right. So Kim is saying, Michael Dean, Las Cruces like deuces. So Cruces, deuces.
Oh, Las Cruces.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Kim. And we got to do your Googles.
There you go.
And then
he said that's a t-shirt too. Do your Googles.
Absolutely.
And then Michael Dean, I need the ladies cut, please.
Oh, I got that. Let me get my links. I got the ladies version. Man, come on now. Come on now.
Michael Dean, not playing.
All right.
Okay. Next up is
something sexy but not dirty. Got that shirt too. You got that shirt too.
You do.
Yeah, it's got Morris and Billy on there.
I haven't seen that one.
Tap in with her, brother. You know what I mean? I've been doing this for a little bit.
Yes, I definitely. You know what? I feel bad that I don't have my working like a job because I love that phrase. I'm going to rectify that. All right, so this is another ticket. I love how all these tickets are different. I am a designer by trade, so this is the reason why you have to like humor me with this stuff. But you can still see Bass in the background. And then here's some photos. I don't know what dates these are from.
Ooh, that's cool.
Isn't that cool? Yeah, a beautiful color. I love the red. And the hat, he'd be wearing them hats. That's what I'm talking about. And then I love the yellow suit. I think we saw one of these last week, but this never fails. Love the expression on his face.
That's on that Vaughn, but that's that superhero. Come and get this.
Yes. And you see Brown Mark in the shadows. You never get to see Brown Mark because he's always in the shadows, unfortunately, which is a shame. And I just love this shot because, you know, like I remember when we had Mr. Terry, I asked him what he called this combo. Like it's like a vest with a tail, like a vest tail. It's really interesting. And then the last shot is my favorite and pretty iconic whenever Prince puts his hand up in the air. That's most likely Purple Rain, but I don't know that for sure. Yeah. All right. We have Pretty Ricky.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Right. Man, you look like you just came off of doing a card game or something.
Hey, man, you know what? You know, a couple of weeks ago, C-Lee came on with the round glasses channeling Prince 84. So I figured I'd channel Jammin' Lewis 84.
Hilarious.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry I'm late, but I was trying to figure out like what I was gonna wear because I was gonna do my, you know, man, my Tony tour t-shirt, in honor of Duane. You know what I'm saying? But then C-Lee came on, said D'Angelo started talking about sports, and then I remembered my Virginia State Trojans won the CIAA tournament, the boys and the girls went to the finals. So, you know, I had to show some HBCU love.
Okay. Not only do we have Pretty Ricky, but
there's more.
Have Big Sexy.
Hey, Is it happy birthday, Big Sexy?
No, you're a day early, my man.
Okay, I try to be early.
What? Pisces in the
Early
house.
happy
Oh,
birthday.
shoot. The fish that saved Pittsburgh.
Day.
Did I hear the fish that saved Pittsburgh?
Yeah, mighty Pisces. I just watched that movie the other day.
I was gonna say, how many people actually remember that movie, the fish that saved Pittsburgh?
It was awful, but I remember it.
It's on Tubi.
So I didn't know. Everybody's putting in the chat that today is Brown Mark's birthday.
What?
Oh,
Shoot.
So we got to definitely give a special shout out to the one and only Brown Mark.
Base hero Brown Mark. All right.
Yes. Yes.
What was
Joyful.
the name of his song off the first album? The first
Next
single?
time.
Next time.
Next time.
Next time. Maybe.
My favorite song off of that album is "Shall We Dance," which is one of the songs that Prince produced.
Oh,
the next
Incredible. On the first one, yeah, along with "Bang Bang."
No, that's the second one.
Hang on, second.
What?
Well,
Bang Bang is the second
Bang Bang is the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Bang Bang, girl.
Maybe it's on the second one then. But I could have sworn it's on the first one. The "Shall We Dance." Someone do some Googling and let me know.
I think it might be the second because I don't remember that song.
Okay, it might be the second.
Yeah, okay, because I always associate Bang Bang with the first album too.
Yeah, I did too.
Now, Bang Bang was the first single off the second album.
Okay. And that's probably because I'll be the odd duck out. Other than Bang Bang, I did not. So my favorite Brown Mark album is the Clutter album. I think that album is as close to a funk rock album. It was the album I wanted him to make when he first left Prince. And the others were a little bit too slick for me, but I like Bang Bang. But if you can snoop around the internet and find that Clutter album, that album it's a really funk rock record. I'll just put it there.
When did that come out? I don't even remember this one.
2011, 2012 or something like that.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. It's like it was, and I was gonna even say a little bit. Yeah, you may be right, because Andre Simone's last album was 1969 came out when? Was it 2017 when 1969 came out?
Not sure.
It's roughly around that time.
So Clutter may have come out definitely before 1969, which because I remember writing that 1969 was the best rock album released that year.
Wow.
All I know is
Kelly's.
It
was 2017. It was 2017,
okay,
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So we're not finished either, El Michelle. It's not the full house.
Are we about to take on Thanos or something? We got ready.
The Avengers have assembled today.
Yeah. On your left, goddamn it.
Oh my God. All right. So I just want to read one thing, and then we're going to hear from Big Sexy, who was actually there. So Big Sexy, if it's okay, do you have time for me to read like a little short article?
Please let it rip.
All right. So here we go. So this is in a newspaper called Press Democrat. And the article's name is Prince Churns Purple at the Cow Palace. And I'm going to read, let's see where I'm going to start. Inside the Cow Palace looked like Mardi Gras in the fun house. The crowd's mood was loose. How loose? Both men and women used the men's restroom. And yes, they really were women. That's what they wrote in here. That should indicate that tone of the evening. The ticket said, wear purple, and the fans followed instructions. They also showed more lace and leather than a crowd of bikers selling homemade dollies. The air was a potent blend of cigarette and marijuana smoke, sweat, and incense. Not everyone was young. Gray and bald heads dotted the crowd, and one face looked familiar from the cover of Time magazine. Was that really George Lucas? Outside, the traffic jam stretched from Highway 101 to the Cow Palace, starting 2 blocks from the main gate. Vendors went from car to car, vending Prince posters, T-shirts, and photos and purple flowers. A girl about 15 years old looked at a full-page photo of Prince in her $10 souvenir program. Isn't he gorgeous? She asked no one in particular. It was easy to see why she thought so. Prince looks a lot like her, with large eyes and a smooth face framed by dark curls. She didn't have a pencil-thin mustache like Prince, but if she had been able to get close to him, she might have ripped it off him. Prince, I'm going to skip that, and bathed in colored lights, backed by columns of smoke and canopied by lace curtains, Prince was steeped in stagecraft, but he really loved those scaffolds, literally. He writhed and squirmed on them, showed them great physical affection. Clad in tight purple pants with a see-through seat, also demonstrated his ardor for the purple piano, crawling on top of it to do so. He ground his hips, pranced in high-heeled boots, and twirled and bobbed like an expert street dancer. The only thing he never did was stand still. So, we want to hear from Big Sexy.
Yeah.
About his experience at Cow Palace.
March 4th, 1985. Yes, I was there. The whole 6-day stand in San Francisco was just chaos. We got our tickets the old-fashioned way. We slept online. That's right. Out there online at downtown Oakland, and they sold out. Shit. But a friend of ours had bought a bulk, so we got some from him. And he said, Mark, you want to? I'm like, yeah, shit. So I got the last 2 nights, the 4th and 5th. And on the 4th, me and my buddy Cass and a couple of ladies of the day, we went on out there, and every woman, and Prince, thank you for this, every woman was decked out in lace. It was beautiful. Now, at the same time, I know Madonna was having people wear lace at her shows. It was not the same thing. The people at Madonna's shows were like, hey, let's play dress up. Yay! The women at the Prince shows were women at the Prince shows.
Grown folks in camisoles.
Yes. And it was just beauty everywhere. I'm like, this is okay. We got there late. We didn't see all of Sheila's act. But when Prince hit the stage, that didn't matter. One thing I noticed, though, and I noticed this on the Syracuse show as well, for a tour that big, the area from the front of Bobby's kick drum to the edge of the front of the stage wasn't that deep, for the headlining act. I thought they would take up a lot more area on the stage, but they didn't. And I thought, well, that's weird. And he comes out and they just go into it. It was a lot like the Syracuse show. I'm not going to say it was a little too formulaic for me, but it was. But we still had a blast. And my favorite part was at the end where after Purple Rain, the lights go down, the big curtain with the half black, half white face closes. And we're like, all right, cool. Oh, that was amazing. And it's quiet and people are milling around. The house lights went back up. And all of a sudden, you start hearing drums again. Like, wait, what's going on? We run back in, and they go into America. And we're all looking at each other. What's this? I don't know. But it's good, so let's dance. And it was just chaos. It was more chaos, and we had a blast. And like D'Angelo said, there were people out front, schlepping tickets. All of the gimmicks at the merchandise table were gone within 10 minutes. If you didn't get it first and get it early, you didn't get it. Because I wanted to get one of the little puppets he had in the dressing room. Nope. Those were gone fast. And it was a great show. I don't regret a moment of it. The only regret I have is the second night I'm there with, another lady friend. And I'm Mr. Prince veteran at this point. So at the end of the show, they do Purple Rain. I'm like, okay, baby, hold on. We're going to do something else. Yeah. Didn't happen. No America the second night. They did Purple Rain. Thank you. Good night. So she's looking at me like, I thought you said you would do another song. Well, he did last night. You came here last night? Shit. Moving right along here. But it was the first time for me really seeing him in a setting like that, because what I've seen him previously, it was at the not the Ritz, at the Keystone on Dirty Mind, and it was a whole different vibe. This was a lot more polished, and it took me aback a little bit, but we had a blast. I wouldn't change anything. That's not true. I would change one thing. I, like most of us at that time, expected to see the time. No time at all. And we didn't have the information access that we have now. So we didn't know that Morris had left during the thing, and we didn't know what happened with Jimmy and Terry and Monty way back when either, until after the fact. But we went with it. It was a blast.
So I have a question for you, but before I do, let's properly welcome Mr. Arthur.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Now we're going to get it.
Yeah.
The music snob is in the building.
Yes, he is. So as Big Sexy was reciting his memories, did it trigger anything with your memory, Arthur? Hold that thought, because I want Big Sexy. So I'm going to make an assumption.
Yeah.
So you tell me if I'm wrong. So it sounds like the first night, the fourth was better for you.
Yes.
As a show.
Yes.
At the show.
Hey, Mike, I was gonna say something too. What you be doing?
Why you gotta be petty like that?
Y'all ain't right.
You making me
Cold blooded, wasn't it, Mike?
Yeah.
Just,
I got that.
the fourth was a better show for you, huh? Sealy, we can't hear you, brother. Sealy, we can't hear you.
Hey, when Big Sexy was telling about the second night, did anybody else get the segue to Johnny in their head? Right? Sit down right here. I said we was gonna get seats. As you don't trust nobody. I'm gonna go back here and talk to the man. I had that Johnny segue in my head when Big Sexy was telling me about the young lady on the second night. So
all right. So Arthur,
Yep.
it's your time.
You know, I'm glad that I'm on with. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me back. But I'm glad that I'm on with Big Sexy because I had watched the previous show that he was on, and I heard him mention that he had attended two shows, the 4th and the 5th, and I attended the 4th, Monday, March 4th. And I've got a slightly younger perspective. I was 13 going on 14, we had, you know, Dee, you had actually showed a picture last week of an ad for the tour where the picture of Prince is the still from the, oops, sorry about that, where the picture from Prince is the still from the, hang on, let me just do this and back it up. The picture of Prince is from, goddamn, let me fix this camera. Sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
Yeah. There we go.
We gotta pretend like Kim is not our timekeeper.
Boom. Yeah, Kim, you're gonna have to let me breathe a little bit, sis.
Take your time, Pat.
You know, but Dee, you showed a photo last week. The picture of Prince was the still from the film from Purple Rain during Let's Go Crazy, where he's kind of, you see Bobby's drum and he's bending down. Mm-hmm. And so in January. Quick context, but I'm gonna be quick. The San Francisco newspapers had on Sundays, and Big Sexy, you're gonna remember this. There was like a pink date book section.
Yes. Oh yes.
And it was I don't know. I mean, it was thick, 40 pages maybe, you know. And you thumb through it like a tabloid. And the whole thing about it was it showed, you know, all the arts that were coming to the city, and Big Sexy talks about how we didn't know the tour itinerary. We just knew that the tour was going on, that it started in Detroit. I'm looking through this and I see a full page ad for Purple Rain for 6 shows. And you know, you get that feeling in your body where that you just get cold and you get numb, and it just triggers an immediate excitement because I gotta go see this show. I had missed out on the opportunity to go see 1999 because the show was on a Sunday night, which was a school night, and there was some discrepancy in some homework that I had actually completed. So mom kind of shut that down at the last minute. So all I really had to do, and I was also in a period where I was kind of getting into a lot of trouble, halfway done chores and, preaching stuff.
I feel your pain, brother.
I just had to keep it together for a few months, and I was good money to get into this.
Holding that.
Hey, but the struggle is real.
Struggle was real,
You said there was a disagreement on homework completion. You still go ahead and let it.
I mean, I believe I had it done, but but the whole thing about it was because I was too young to sleep outside for tickets. I had a friend who was a year older than I was, who was going out to sleep for tickets with his older sister, and that's how I got a ticket to go see the show. And that's the one. But it was bigger. It was full page, and it was a little more elaborate. But the thing about it was that with 6 nights, the fact that the Purple Rain tour was coming, and it was coming the week after the Grammy performance, added to the energy where this wasn't just a concert, but it turned more into an event situation. And because I had Monday tickets, the Wednesday night concert goers, you started seeing T-shirts at school on Thursday. The Thursday night concert goers, you started seeing T-shirts on Friday. So this was building, and that junior high that I went to in Oakland was racially mixed.
Where'd you go?
I went to Montero Junior High.
Oh, up in the hills.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
And junior high then was, and it probably still is, but junior high was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. So there was really no concept of being a high school freshman at any point. So my friend, Ken, who was a year older than me, was in fact a 9th grader. But anyway, so that's how I went with his people. And going there, I'd been to the Cow Palace. Maybe by that time, maybe that was my 4th time going to the Cow Palace. But the previous 3 concerts I'd went to were rock shows. That's a very different energy than going to a Prince concert. And
what were the shows?
I saw Ozzy. I saw Ozzy Osbourne. I saw Black Sabbath, and I saw AC/DC.
Hold up.
Those 3.
You saw wait, time, brother. You doing some integrating at them shows. You had
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Sabbath show is like, hey, yo, I know it's black, but I mean, do you know that?
Yeah, you like the only brother there for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, and it's been well documented on the podcast and even on shows like the appearances with Duff. It's I listen to a lot of music and rooted in funk, Parliament specifically. But as I went to school, in my circle of friends who were predominantly white school, predominantly white friends, I gravitated to what they were listening to. And Prince was that bridge that carried me over. I kind of mark it with the Controversy album, where it's like, okay, this is my guy, and I'm rolling with this.
If you don't mind the version, could you talk a little bit about what was the difference for you between the Prince show and the previous rock shows?
Like I say, the Prince show was an event. When Big Sexy talks about women that came in camisoles, you had guys that were having ruffled shirts, and I mean, they like made outfits. You know what I'm saying? And it's cold. It's March in San Francisco. It is not. It's cold. So these women are and they don't have coats. I'm walking up in there and I had like a big coat. I remember I had on a scarf. I had to wear something purple, and I had like a rugby shirt that had some purple in it. But it was nothing like I'd ever seen. The white kids at the rock concerts, they were in denim and long hair and high, right? It was just a different energy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because when I went to go see the Police, I was the only somebody who looked like they got dressed up. Like
That's a great, yeah. That's a good way to put it
like
too.
they had when they play clothes. And I was
That's
the
a good
only
way to
one
put
who,
it
like, their mama
too.
made him dress up.
Yeah, and I mean, aside from the Ozzy Osbourne show, there really weren't too many like preteens, like kids like me. I think the theatrical appeal of Ozzy and all that went with, that was much more appealing to younger kids. I know for me, because I played drums, I was a fan of his drummer at the time, Tommy Aldridge. But I mean, Prince was a lot different. And because it was Purple Rain, being there where you're not just part of the zeitgeist, it's like you're participating in it. It takes on a larger life than what it actually is, if that makes sense. I know I missed a little bit of what Big Sexy was talking about, particularly at the beginning, but I did see all of Sheila's set. Now, here's the thing. We were sitting on the floor, and I was maybe 30 or 40 rows back, center left. And the way the Cow Palace did it, on the floor, they had 4 sections of rows with 3 aisles, a center aisle, and then one left and one right. They had security walking the aisles to make sure that no one would get into the aisles during the concert, and they made sure nobody stood on their chairs during the show, as best as they could. They were really monitoring the floor. And that was a disadvantage for me because, I don't know, I'm like 5 foot maybe. So I can't really see a lot in that way. But after Sheila's show, where, the curtain is down, that giant curtain that Big Sexy talked about, at a certain point, out of nowhere, drums start happening, guitar starts happening, synths start happening, and you realize that he's playing 17 days. And he's playing 17 days, house lights on behind the curtain. And the energy that went from 0 to, power of 50 was amazing to watch because he's there. He's there, he's present, you can't see him, but it's really happening. This is not pre-recorded. He had already done a duet off stage with Sheila for Erotic City. So you hear his voice, San Francisco, is this the erotic city, and everybody freaks out. That was something that I had never seen before because it gave a certain, and forgive me, I mean, I got really vivid memories from Purple Rain, so I kind of glamorizing it. But I mean, it gave sort of an intimacy to it that this was outside the context of, the show. This is for you. We're going to play this song for you to build you up. Concert happens and, it's standard fare, standard set, just as Big Sexy had described. I can see, but not super great because I'm looking in between people's shoulders and whatnot, But after Baby I'm a Star, and here's where my memory gets a little fuzzy. I can't remember if the house lights went on or if they were off. I really believe that they were off because what was beginning to happen was after the curtain went back down, everybody's still cheering. We're anticipating an encore. We start to see people both moving like they're leaving, coming from the front of the venue, moving to the back, and we start seeing a few people start running to the front. So me and Ken looked at each other and we just ran dead to the front. And I mean, it's like, I'm talking about like Hunger Games movies where the cannon goes off and everybody's running. That's what we were doing, breakneck speed. And we got as far as, we were in the purple circle. And I believe you described this, the purple circle were like the first 10 rows of the venue that were $100 a seat tickets. And I think I got as close as maybe second or third row, but it was hard because at this point it's chaos and I got one foot on one chair, I got my other foot on another chair, and I got two people on either side of me with their feet on the same chair, and we're just holding on to each other for dear life, and we are in this together, and we don't know each other. I don't know where Ken went. I don't know where my coat went. I don't know where my scarf. I don't know. I'm just in the front, and curtain goes up and they start Purple Rain, and it's a long intro. Prince is not out yet, and where I'm situated is I am almost directly in front of Wendy. And I mean, she is right there, and I'm just waving, and Wendy! I mean, I'm shooting my shots, and God is my witness. At one point, she kind of looks my way, and as she's strumming, she kind of does a little finger like that, and I had my moment, but yeah, they do the song, and Prince is to my left, and I mean, he's right there. You can see the makeup caked on his face. You can see it. He right there. And I've never had any experience like that. I've been fortunate enough to see Prince a number of times since then. A couple of those times I was really up close, but the energy, it was not like that moment there. Because again, I'm participating in the zeitgeist. My man is right there. And just as Sexy describes, house lights go up, curtains down, rumble, rumble, rumble. America kicks in, and they jam for another however long that they jam for. And I mean, I'm telling you, it's like, Tuesday morning, I'm wearing my shirt, and like all of the Friday show kids, Thursday show, Wednesday show kids, we're like nodding off in algebra because we didn't get home till like 2, 3 in the morning, but we didn't care. The teachers didn't care. Nobody cared because we had our Purple Rain shirts on. We were part of that. And some of us knew each other, some of us didn't, but we knew by the shirts what we experienced, and our relationships just changed after that. You'd get nods from people that you didn't normally get nods from before, because it's like, oh, okay, you're into Prince, It was it really was an amazing experience.
D'Angela, I would like to quickly and briefly address a couple things I saw in the chat. Yes, I did rock the ruffled shirt. Could not tell me. Yes, I had it on. And Blade Brown, yes, I was a carefree curl man back in the day.
Don't let me go to my bathroom. Don't let me go.
And if you talk to my friend Cass to this very day, he still gets pissed off at me because he had a little Scirocco, and I would get carefree curl juice all over the headliner and the window, and he was just, what the fuck, man? Those were good times.
Those were good times. Something about the tour too. Also because it was, the length of the shows. There was a lot of newspaper press surrounding it. I know, D'Angelo, you've shown a lot of those articles because it was a homecoming, for Sheila E. Mm-hmm. And there were also articles, and I don't remember seeing protesters at the building. And it could have been that because it's Monday, what's the point of we've already kind of exhausted our time. But, Reagan had just been inaugurated for his second term. And there was a great Christian fundamentalism that was going on across America. And Prince was an easy target for the protests because, there'd been a crusade against what's would be regarded as like salacious behavior and what he's doing to children's minds and things like that. Because see, once the kids start getting into Prince, then the parents get up in arms. And the same thing happened with heavy metal in the devil worship and such.
And don't forget the fame of Jimmy Swaggart.
Right.
Jimmy Swaggart is America's preacher.
Right.
I have sinned.
But the irony of it all was that yes, he did Nikki. Yes, he had a bathtub. Yes, does he have an ass like mine? Yes, he had the lace pants that showed his butt and all of that, But there was a great aspect of the tour that had a Christian revivalist attitude toward it. He had conversations with God during the solo piano. The backwards message after Nikki is talking about coming to the dawn. I Would Die for You is a messianic message. And all of that really gets ignored by the same people that are protesting what he should be either doing or turning to. He's already doing and turning to. It was just an interesting contrast. And not to mention too, that, and this may sound a little left field, but the AIDS epidemic was really just being acknowledged as an epidemic, but it was still ingrained in the belief that this was a gay disease or a drug user's disease because of the transmission.
And a punishment by God. Right. We were all told these people being punished by God. That was heavy in the atmosphere. And ironically, and I want to stress ironically when I say this, that messaging on HIV/AIDS did not change until Magic Johnson.
And not right away either.
Right, and not right away.
Yeah.
That kind of, and I don't want to get too far from it, but so that was all of that. Well, I'm glad you brought all of that. All of that was in the ether, right, in the atmosphere, swirling around, and Prince becomes the kind of pinata for all of that. And which was interesting. I was trying to find the article because I quoted in something. The other irony of that is Prince was essentially okay with the labels. Like I remember I was trying to find the quote. His exact quote was, "I think parents should know what their children are listening to." So it was a really kind. I remember reading that in real time, going, "Huh?" Because I thought that he would be mad. Because I'm thinking if it's me and I'm being plastered around and my music is driving people to hell and my music is, and I'm the. But for him to go, I think all parents should know what their children are listening to, and I think that kind of. So y'all go back. I'm gonna go back to see if I can find that article right quick because I want to be able to cite it so folks can go check it out. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll shut.
So Arthur, really quick, I have a couple of questions for you before I forget. One is, was Randy Rhoads still in Ozzy's band when you saw him, or was Randy gone by then?
No, he had died. I saw Jakey Lee.
All right. And then the other question was, what was the percentage of fans you could tell only knew of him from Purple Rain versus the hardcore fans?
So it was loud. So the noise kind of had just like a certain like steady level, But when America played, and I was close enough to kind of get a read on who was immediately around me and stuff like that, I could tell that there were people that just figured this was an old song because they hadn't heard any of the other catalog besides Purple Rain. And people that knew like, oh damn, something's up. You know what I mean? So there were, and at school too. I mean, you could kind of tell people that had just got to be Prince fans because of Purple Rain, because I knew people that were into Prince. I knew kids that were into Prince before Purple Rain because I was one of them, and that was a thread. But but that was there too. That was definitely there too.
What about you, Big Sexy? What was your read on that in terms of, because you were much older than Arthur, in terms of like, were there a lot of I call them Purple Rain people who are just there for Purple Rain versus like the hardcores? Big Sexy? Is Big Sexy frozen?
You frozen?
I think
he's frozen.
Michael Dean, brother Dean, you muted.
My bad. Yeah, I was looking. I was like, man, he's feeling good. He's just
He's feeling with the first
He's solid, wasn't he? Hey, I got a question for Arthur. Arthur, how far are you from Castlemont?
Oh man, other side of the world.
Really?
Skyline. I went to Skyline High, so Skyline and Castlemont. That wasn't like there was a little bit of oil and water there.
Okay. I bring up Castlemont because that's where the Tonys, Sadiq and his
Yeah,
brothers and them are
yeah.
from, and so I know they were big fans. I was going to ask you and Big Sexy if you could tell, um, to the best of your knowledge, was it like, did you know any other musicians like that? They were there. So I know you were in middle school, but
Sure.
like were they like were any of your peers that you knew, like who were some musicians there, or just local cast that you knew that maybe played in church or something, or
After the fact, both the immediate and maybe a couple years later. Because again, since as far as major tours go, it was Purple Rain in 84, 85, and Love Sexy in 88, 89. So you had this big gap. So in terms of people that had gone to see Prince, for the most part, they had gone to see him either in 1999 or Purple Rain, depending on their age. And yeah, that's when the threads started connecting. And both the school that I went to for junior high, Montera, and the high school especially that I went to, Skyline, there were a lot of kids from different neighborhoods that went there. So I was one person away from, an older brother or something like that went to Castlemont, that went to the high school. So you get what I mean? So there was like this mix. And because I had musician friends, that was a different kind of blend, because I had church musician friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was always one person away from somebody who knew Duane, or even Raphael. I used to get my hair cut from his younger cousin, Lil Dave.
Okay.
And I never met any of the Tonys in person, but I have had an extensive conversation with Raphael Sadiq that started in a little awkward way, but once I said, "Yeah, Lil Dave just cut my hair," it turned into something completely different, and it became kind of a homecoming, and okay, now I'm gonna tell you what, how this, that, and the third, really went down.
Okay, that's what's up. 6 degrees separation.
Yeah, very much so. And and some of us would like run into the record stores, because if you were really into the record stores, I mean, first of all, if you were really into records, you were going to Berkeley, because there were three major retailers that were on UC Berkeley's campus. Two of them are still there, I think. Yeah, two of them. No, just one's still there. Only Rasputin's, because Tower shut down, Leopold shut down. Yeah, I mean, depending on what you were on, especially like in music, you would come across so many different types of people that you otherwise really would not have interacted with, and for the most part, all of us were either Prince heads or at worst did not think Prince was a joke.
Can you pin Kale Head's statement? Because I think it's important to kind of address it. So the answer to that is no, not really, for two reasons. Prince was always doing that as far back as Dirty Mind, and of course you get anti-Christian. So Prince was always weaving spirituality and sexuality and religion and politics long before the conservatives. But I think also most importantly, not only was Prince doing this before Purple Rain, this is a tradition of black music. Sam Cooke, Little Richard, Marvin Gaye. At some point, those three men, Sam Cooke, Little Richard, Marvin Gaye, all contemplated walking away from secular music because they felt like they were betraying God.
And then Al Green actually did it.
And Al Green actually did it. Thank you. Thank you, because I would have been so hurt if I got off this screen and you didn't mention Al Green. And as someone who was from the hometown of Sam Cooke, who grew up with old people telling me God killed Sam Cooke because he left the church. That's what old ass people used to tell a 6-year-old child like me, that God killed Sam Cooke, right? That I saw Al Green, I saw secular Al Green. I saw church Al Green. They both sound the same to me, but I saw secular Al Green and church Al Green. But so Kel Heads, I think it's important. I think that's a part of the Black legacy, the legacy of Black music, and the legacy of Black music going from field hollers and shouts to blues to rock and roll to spirituals to gospel. There has always been a tension. And I ended on this. The man after Muddy Waters, who was supposed to be that next dude, the man after Robert Johnson. So the man after Robert Johnson, there's Muddy Waters. Well, there's somebody missing who was going to be the next blues cat, who was going to be the next superstar blues cat. But what happened was his child died and he had a religious conversion. And so if you ever, Thomas Dorsey, I want everybody in the chat, go do some history on Thomas Dorsey. Thomas Dorsey was the baddest blues cat. And everything that you know that is Black gospel music is because Thomas Dorsey took his blues backbeat and wrote some of the most popular, and a song that none of y'all will ever know, Precious Lord, was written by superstar blues man Thomas Dorsey as his first religious conversion song. So what Prince is doing on Purple Rain is in the legacy and history of Black music and the tension between the secular and the sacred and the profane. I'll shut up.
Hey man, so you know what's funny about? Okay, well, not funny, but it's when you're. I know for me and some other peers growing up, when you play a rhythm section instrument like bass, drums, keys, or man guitar, the first thing old people used to say was, "Hey, well now you can play in church." It wasn't a jazz band. It wasn't go take lessons. Like that's the first thing. Oh yeah, well you can go play in church. Mm-hmm. And then if you played in church and then you stopped, it was like traffic. You know what I'm saying? It's like pause. It's like hey, we ain't seeing you in church no more. Where you at? You know, and man, God forbid says, man, you tell them that I ain't playing in church no more, but I'm playing at the local spot down the street. It just might catch a flying Bible.
So now that we have Big Sexy back, I wanted to ask you, what was your take on the question we had earlier about like the Purple Rain people versus the hardcore fans at this Purple Rain show that you saw? Well, both of them actually.
Well, first, let me apologize. I had a modem meltdown and got it rebooted and back up in the race. For me, and I've noticed this with each successive concert, and Arthur, apologizing to rip off your phrase here, but I am a snob. I admit this. And so when I'm there, you know, and I can see people who know, you know, what we're going to do and what we're going to get into and all that, and I can see the casual fan. And I have no time for the casual fan whatsoever. When people walk up to me after he did When Doves Cry, what song is this? Are you kidding me? You know, then they come up after Irresistible Bitch. What song is this? Go away. Mm-hmm. Go away. Be gone. You know, and then when he hit America, all of us snobs looking at each other like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
I don't have this. You know, this is not a B-side that I know. Well, what the hell is this, man? And then it was like, okay, this is something new. Let's just enjoy it and ride it out. And we did, and it was great. But I remember vividly at the Third Eye Girl show, again, I'm in full snob. You know, people walking up to me after they did an extended piece on She's Always in My Hair. And this guy walked up, oh man, what song is that? Are you speaking to me? Peasants, be gone.
Crumbs. You know? Crumbs, like stupid crumbs.
You know, I just have no time for that. But I want to address something C. Lee said earlier that made me go back to being a youngster about dressing up at the concerts. The first show I ever went to was the Ohio Players on the Fire Tour. No, yes, on the Fire Tour.
Oh my God.
At the Circle Star Theater.
I'm so
tell me. Had on my brown leisure suit. You couldn't tell me.
Yes, sir.
I was all of 11 years old.
Where you want to see.
I was federal. And you know, we get to the venue, the Circle Star Theater in San Carlos, which is now gone. And everyone's dressed up. I'm like, okay, this must what it's like for concerts. And then I go to my first Down the Green when I'm like 15. Yeah, that didn't happen there. I'm like, okay, weed in the air and nothing but t-shirts and jeans as far as the eye could see. I'm like, all right, I see there's a difference here. So I think a lot of that had to do with who you're seeing and where you're seeing them. Because at the Circle Star, every time we went there, you dress up. Cow Palace, go for what you know. Except for Prince, when you have to wear, the lace and the ruffles and all that.
Did anybody? I'm just asking a silly question, but we know, women always represented, came ready.
Well, yes, they did.
A guy come up like dressed like Prince, like a
oh yeah, absolutely.
With trench coat with the drawers.
Yes. Absolutely.
Wait, whoa.
Oh, he said
drawers was a bit much. I didn't see little drawers running around, but I saw the trench coats, and I saw that bouffant Prince was rocking back then, all over the place.
I'm wondering if a person, I've seen the people dressed up kind of like his style, but I'm talking like the way the ladies took it, like with dudes putting on.
Yeah, they had brooches and lace gloves. I mean, the
see-through pants and stuff.
Yeah,
no, I saw a lot of purple coats. I saw a lot of controversy coats. I saw a lot of controversy look at the Purple Rain show, which was probably easier to duplicate than the Purple Rain look. Was easier. To duplicate than.
But Ricky, where'd you go see the tour?
I saw it in Birmingham. I mean, Birmingham is not like a major city, so it's not.
But not even major city. San Francisco, Bay Area, they got down. They got down with all of the trinkets, all of the, just all of it, like all of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if y'all remember. Y'all remember the bootlegs on VHS? And I can't remember who the carrier was. They would have the bootlegs on VHS, and they would just be lots and lots of snippets of news things and newsreels and promo things.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of my favorite bootlegs was of like a 30 to 40 second. It was a crowd standing online. I want to say New York, and I have to go back and look in my book to see, but I want to say on New York. But there was a guy, a young brother. The brother looked between the ages, say 18 and 22, right? My man had purple. Is it eyelash that's actually on the lid? What's on the lid? Is it eyelash that's on? No, what's on the lid? Is it eyelash that's on the lid?
Eyeshadow?
Eyeshadow, that's it. My man had purple eyeshadow. Yeah, my man had purple eyeshadow. He had rouge or blush.
Damn.
He definitely had lashes, right? He had a curl. It's important that you know how this dude looked, so you know how the interview goes. So the interviewer, who's also a sister, says, "So I take it Prince is your favorite artist," and he says in this kind of smirking kind of, yeah, that's my. And remember, he got on blush and lash, like, and the guy said, and she says, "Oh, Prince," and she says, "Prince, why not Michael Jackson?" And my man said in a straight face, "Mike too soft." You got on mascara. You got on blush and mascara. No. But to Arthur's point, that it was like it's difficult to describe to young people in 2025 that in a way Prince was gangster. In a way, Prince was like the toughest, most rebellious, most scariest thing that you would see, and that young males had kind of tapped into Prince that they were not tapping into Michael Jackson. And I'm not saying that as a way to knock Michael Jackson. That was an edge, and that was a street, and that was a fearlessness that young males were tapping into with Prince that they were not tapping. It goes back to the Tupac line. Tupac says, "I love women like Prince loved women." He didn't say, "I love women like Mike loved." So there was something there with all of the effeminate style that we were kind of able to say Prince was edgier than just about everybody else that was out at that time. I'll shut up.
I think y'all remember those. I don't know if y'all had them, but I don't know. Did y'all used to have those like Michael Jackson, Prince lookalike contests at the mall or somewhere in the city or something? Because we used to have them. I know Atlanta used to have them too. And you'd see like these people, they would come up, they'd be, I mean, they'd be looking like, like whoever they chose to look like, and they dance or do whatever or try to sing or something. But that was a big thing though. Like you would see them, and they would have contests. Like they'd be, okay, I know they win like studio time or something, or something, ticket somewhere or something. But like it was a thing. It was like a thing. Like you saw cats like walking around, like looking like Mike, like looking like Prince. It was, not taboo.
Another aspect to this too, and actually, I think Web Diva brought this up a few cards back, and Big Sexy helped me because my memory might be a little foggy. But the idea of the idea of men, mascara, eyeshadow, mousse in their hair and all of that. Yeah, the guy liner. That was something that was going on in what rock critics would call new wave in the early 80s. Think Flock of Seagulls.
Yep.
Or
Duran,
Spandau Ballet, Duran, Culture Club,
Yep.
Boy George. Later on, Dead or Alive, where you had a range of men who were popular with women, but also popular with men, could play, and were getting on MTV and were getting on Billboard charts. And Prince was one of the few black artists that really stratified this group of acts, of artists that were out, and could, for lack of a better word or term, pull it off, and pull it off in a very masculine way, such that when we saw, lookalikes, some folks that would come to the shows that would kind of like what we were describing, some of them really couldn't pull it off because it wasn't necessarily in them, so to speak.
I like that.
The better example of that balance would come a little bit later in 85, but when Jesse Johnson's Reviews album first dropped, when Jesse Johnson came out, he had that better balance for sort of like the regular guy could follow.
Right.
But was still in that aesthetic, both musically, camera, sorry y'all, but musically, appearance, could play and appeal to both white audiences and black audiences.
That was 1986 or so, and Jesse came out in late 85. But if you go back to 1981 and you look at the Walk video, you look at
yeah.
Morris has got the makeup happening pretty good there too.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was this is, since we're kind of on this, was Morris's style, that was it felt like that was a play on something, like his look or something. Was that like a reminiscent of something? Was it a zoot suit sort of guy?
Karen Turman would talked about the dandy and dandyism. A few symposiums back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've talked about dandyism. It was, Morris was, for lack of a better term, the zoot suit street corner dude. I mean, they were, because I remember my father, my uncles, them all loved the time. Like the music, the dress. These were black men who, as we said, they got dressed up to go everywhere. Like they didn't wear, like I don't wear, and this is not a knock to anybody, because of my father, my uncles, I don't wear t-shirts and blue jeans. Last time I wore blue jeans was in 1990 because I was working at Toys R Us. Like that's the only reason I wore. Like my father never wore blue jeans. He wore shirts and buttoned up, and so the times aesthetic and the base of the time spoke to my father and their uncles in a way that it reconnected them to everything they knew from the 50s coming up. So it was a zoot suit kind of thing, that allowed the time to both be anchored in traditional Black community, but still be innovative enough to speak to the way things were today. And I've always talked about that being planned. I think later, like Jelly Bean and other people talked about that being planned, that the time was kind of anchoring in the community in a way so that Prince could kind of do a little bit more. I know he doesn't like the word experimental, right? But I think that, yeah, so, but the time spoke to people in the community in certain ways that even anchored Prince in ways that even resonates now, that people never really had those. Like, there are people who give connections to the time or to Prince and don't even know they're crossing lines with what song is what, because it all just kind of merges together in that kind of community thing. I'll say that.
Hey man, yeah, that baggy suit look still,
still romantics. I'm sorry,
romantics.
the new romantics. That was the term that I was thinking about when I was talking about the white artists, the new wave artists.
So you're thinking Ultravox and stuff like that?
Yeah. Depeche Mode, early Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
And the group The Romantics.
Fair.
Secrets that you keep.
I forgot about that.
Hey, look, big second.
I forgot about that song.
I'm glad you sang it because that was my jam. I was laughing.
Yeah. That joint used to crank. Yeah, that joint used to crank.
I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. I mentioned my friend Cass a few times. Back when we were, that age, 20, 21, he looked just like the lead singer for the Romantics. And I would give him shit constantly. And if I play that song right now, he'll throw something at me. Crack me up. Crack me up.
Yeah, so the Times look was very grounded. It still is grounded. Like, I mean, that's like a go-to. Just any,
Well, they've worked on me for years. I went to this pre-Grammy brunch, and the main reason I went, I'll say it here, I'm among friends. The main reason I went was I saw an interview with Jimmy a few weeks previous, and he had
Jam.
Yes.
Okay.
And he had on this pin. I'm like, is that the pin we get for the brunch? I'm there. And so I went ahead and got the VIP, the whole shebang, and they sent me my little Grammy pin. Yeah. Could not tell me. Could not tell me. Oh, this? Yes, Jimmy Jam and I have one of these. That's right. not you, Evans. Oh, yeah.
Not you, Crumbs.
Could I ask a question?
Before can you hold on to your question?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Write it down so you don't forget. I want you guys to respond to Keith Upchurch because I think this is an interesting comment.
Yeah.
Low key.
I don't even think it was. I know what he means by low key, but I don't even think it was low key in that way.
No,
I think that. In fact, I'm so sorry. So many memories. So I'm just like, and then but I think that the time, because they were, I mean, we all know this. It's like at a point, the best vehicle for Prince to be on Black radio, if it wasn't a ballad,
right,
was through the time. Mm-hmm. And pardon the pun, but the time exuded a coolness that was so relatable. Mm-hmm. I mean, Celie really talks about it, with Stacey Adams and the Baggies, but that it was so relatable and also attainable. Mm-hmm. If we're talking about, lookalikes, or I want to dress like somebody and all of that, it was much more attainable to adopt a look of Morris Day than it would be for Prince, because to dress up like Prince would, especially at that time, would attract a conversation that the person wearing the outfit wouldn't necessarily want to get into.
Go ahead, dance around there, Arthur. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I mean, and it'd be like a challenge kind of way. So I agree. It's like that was a real gateway. Something that I remember very, very well, as far back as 7th grade, that there were a few girls that I knew, one in particular, who had a purple trench coat, and she had, D'Angelo, you might remember this, and she had Prince buttons of varying circumferences.
I had that.
All the way down each side of her trench coat.
I didn't have the trench coat, but I had a blue jean jacket. Ricky knows.
Yeah.
And she was very pretty, and a lot of boys liked her. And I remember at least 2 boys who would buy a very specific Prince button and wear it as almost a signal to say that I'm aligning myself with Prince so that I can begin to have a conversation with you.
Let me guess. Rude boy?
Yep.
Gotta try to get in some
Actually,
kind of way.
no. Actually, no. It was the controversy poster with the in smoke. The Alan Beaulieu photograph, but it looked
green
painted.
eyes.
Yeah, that one.
The green eye.
Yeah, it was that one. I'm never using this camera again for this. But
is it like responding to your hand?
Yeah.
It is. And I got it yesterday, and I thought I was going to be slick and use it today, and here we are.
I said,
hold my turn.
Right. But yeah, I totally agree with that, because it was like there was only so much Prince that you could listen to.
But let me wait, Celie. I want to interject with Sakia's comment, because this is a counter.
But see, that's why I wanted to go.
Okay.
My only concern with the phrase is the word gateway. I think a better word would be anchor. Because the time was Prince's anchor as he went off to sail different seas.
Look at Celie.
See, to say gateway is to say that a lot of black people discovered Prince through the time. No. Black people knew who Prince was before the time.
Right.
And the time then becomes that anchor. Like, look, I'm gonna give y'all these club beats and bass, so that I can do a little bit more different stuff with Controversy. Do a little bit more different stuff with 1999. Do a bit more different stuff with Purple Rain, which was why so many of us were pissed off that the time wasn't opening the Purple Rain tour. That would have been the perfect. Now, not to harp on and that ship is sailed, but to be true in the perfect alternate universe. Which, by the way, I hate all alternate universe comic books. I hate that shit with a passion. I think the alternate universe was invented in comics because these sorry ass people can't write. But that's another discussion for another time. I know I'm alone in that. I know
No, you're not. No, you're not.
That's what happened. They invented alternate universes because they ass can't write. Let's move on. So, but in the perfect alternate universe, it would have been the time. It would have been Sheila E. and it would have been Prince. And because I think that's important, because by saying gateway, and I'm just speaking in truth here. I'm not jumping on this guy again, but it opens that gateway for David Z, who made that terrible statement, who said on the Sunset Sound thing that black people didn't mess with Prince originally because he didn't sound like the Temptations.
Yeah.
And so that's why the gateway thing has to be changed to anchor, because if you look at the pictures from Prince's early concerts, that's a black audience. Prince did early promo at black radio stations.
Yeah.
There are all these pictures of Prince. I love the one picture with the sister with the big bifocals, got her arm around Prince. I said, you know what? She can see into the future and to Prince pants with them bifocals on, and that's what she's trying to get. Because that girl looking at Prince like she a steak and she ain't ate all day. I love that photo. So I think that. So I like what he's saying. I would just say change gateway to anchor, because what the time did, and let's be honest, because all the tap dance around something, and Big Section caught that he was tap dancing. So I'll end on this. And I'm gonna say two things. In 1990, and this on my, if you go to my website and you go to my photo gallery, I was dressed in a certain way in college that one of my best friends in college, when I walked into the classroom dressed how I was dressed, My best friend, the dude I knew was my partner, looked at me and said, dude, you look like a gay pirate. That's what he said to me. And so when you were dressing, so Prince could dress and do certain things and still keep his street cred. One, because he kept bangers on his albums, and two, because he was closely associated with the time. I'll shut up.
I know. I got a question. I know, Big Sexy. Like, how old were you? I mean, you mind me asking? Back in like 84, like 85. Like, I know you.
In 84, I turned 20.
Okay, so you were 20. I
heard that, Dean.
Yeah. No. I'm saying, like, you know, like when I just remember older girls that I knew, you know, my cousin's age, who were like high school. You know, I had another cousin who was at Spelman. You know, their age group, which was, you know, close to your age, they were like, to what Arthur was saying about the time and being grounded, they were like really, really big on Jesse Johnson. Like, he did, like, Jesse coming out after this Purple Rain thing, you know, it was kind of like a given, like Prince was accepted, but Jesse was doing something where they were like, it's like he had like this appeal from maybe like 13 to like 26 that was vast, and they didn't have a hard time. And then, and it wasn't just from like females, it was males too. Like, dudes was like, yo, I like that suit that he had on, and like the Be Your Man video, I want to get, you know, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember dudes wearing boots, not like the, you know, like 2-inch boots that Prince had, but the boots that Jesse had. I remember going to shop for some, actually. But I remember dudes wearing boots. I remember, you know, the Jam and Lewis baggy suit look, you know, being a thing. And so, but they were popular in this group of, you know, teenagers, like young adults, not over 30, but, you know, kind of in that early 20s realm. And I was just asking, you know, like, do you remember that being a thing, of them being like, you know, just widespread of appeal? I mean, amongst
I remember when the first time album came out, and I'm at my therapist office in like 1980, late 80, 81. Don't judge me. And I'm reading Jet magazine, and there's an interview with the band, and they're actually talking about how they put together their outfits. And they said, look, you can get our stuff anywhere you want. You go to the thrift stores and get it. And then later on, years later, Jimmy, you know, co-signed that. And so I remember the time in my little circle in Oakland, the time really put the dagger through designer jeans. You know, because one week it was like, oh, Sergio Valente, Jordache. Morris killed all that. You know, zip, snap, and drop. Easy access, baby. And that's where it was. Everybody's rocking the baggies from that point on. And with the time look, you could be, I'm going to really oversimplify this, you could be a guy and rock that at the club. You can't rock Prince at the club. Sorry. It's just, you can't be a guy and rock that, because you're going to look questionable. And if you're not a certain build, you can't pull it off. Sorry, it's just not going to work. Or the baggies and the shirts, you can do that all day.
I think we've got to add to that, and I agree with Seeley. I think Prince, though, and as has already been said, was loved by Black people. Like, that was his fan base. I think what Prince brought to the culture became the look of the culture. Somebody said it was breed. You know, it was real people dressing like that. You wasn't look funny. I mean, it depended on who you were. I mean, you have to remember, right? The pictures of Dr. Dre and them world-class wrecking. Those weren't punks, and you wasn't gonna walk up to them talking about, do you like boys and girls? That, you know, that's straight in South LA. There wasn't nothing, it was nothing funny style about, but that was the look of real players. Like, oh, that was the look. I mean, that was our culture. And it was coming off of the Michael thing, was sort of bled into that look a little bit, but I don't think anyone was ever getting questioned. Like, if you was a real one wearing that, that was like, oh, you official because you could dress like that. I think too. I think what the time did was this, it just spoke to another segment of Black culture that was always there. Maybe an older sort of culture that could identify with the look of them, like, oh, they on some gangsters. almost like they're from the Mac or maybe bleeding off of Parliament and Bootsy and all that kind of stuff. But I think they all both represented Black culture. It was just two different. One was more for the younger people. I think Prince was. And of course, I think you have to also throw in the racial politics of a light-skinned Black man. Morris and Prince is going to get a certain amount of privilege, and light skins was popping back then. Versus, I think when you see Jesse Johnson come in, I think some of that speaks to Jesse is that he was dark skinned and dressed like that. And I think a lot of people was like, I can identify with that. That brother's me. I'm not a light skin. I'm not El DeBarge. I'm not. But this cat, he's from home. He seemed like one of the homies from, but he's still, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we all dressed like that. That was the style back then. That Prince aesthetic. So it wasn't like, I don't think it was ever a gateway, but I do think they spoke to two different things. And I will say back then, I had no clue they were connected to each other, you know, like I do now, which probably would have changed the conversation back then, because we always pit them against each other back then. Or who's better, Jesse or Morris or Prince? I didn't really know it was all the same crew like that. It wasn't until the movie where I even started to think like, well, obviously there's a rivalry there, but I didn't know that Prince was doing the music. Yeah. The movie wouldn't even have worked for me if I'd have known Prince was actually behind the time, because I thought that shit was real. But that's just my take on it.
You know, like there was I mean, testament, I know, to the time. I don't know if y'all remember, but Rick James had this group, Process and
the Do-Rag.
Process and the Do-Rag.
Yeah.
And they tried it, but it didn't take off. It was like Stomp and Shout.
Stomp and Shout.
Stomp and Shout. Oh man, they was like 1940 out, Jack. The Process and the Do-Rags. If you look on YouTube, it might be a video, but they had
still there.
They weren't a band, they were like a singing group, but they tried to do the, you know, like duplicate the look, and it just didn't catch, or it didn't stick. But yeah, Process and the Do-Rags.
and I think that, and I know we all kind of laughed, but I know a couple of great articles that were written about the 80s being similar to the Harlem Renaissance, particularly in television and film, in that the tragic mulatto once again became popular, or the selling point. So when you are talking about color and complex, I do think that Brother Dean, you know, and again, it gets into other different layers or not, but you know, when you think about the 80s, you think about what was hot in the 80s. You think about the 80s, we were just coming out of, the 80s was supposed to have been the apex of the civil rights movement, right? The 80s was supposed to have been this kind of grand, integrated kind of situation in which the struggles of the 60s manifested this kind of utopia. And what we found by the end of the 80s and the rise of hip hop, and we saw what Reagan's policies had done to America, that the 80s are kind of seen more as a fiction or a fantasy of what people wanted to have happen, were underneath those atrocities were kind of sleeping and got kind of remagnified and refocused in the 90s. So that the kind of color complex thing, you know, I don't want to, because you start trying to put weight on how much it is, but it definitely was a thing. And I know I keep going back to this movie, and I just go back and just watch the movie called Soul Man. And that movie Soul Man, which one was funny, does really deal with a lot of race issues from a reverse nature of how white people saw blackness and how black people had to navigate the way in which white people saw blackness. That's it, I'll say.
All right, so my timekeeper has been keeping time, and we do have 2 more shows to talk about from LaCruces, but I want to be respectful of Big Sexy and Arthur's times. You're welcome to stay on, and then I also want to make sure that has everyone asked the questions that they want to ask of Arthur and Big Sexy of being at the Cow Palace show where America was performed live. And D68A has that on his channel. So that's on the accompanying playlist. So you can actually listen to that show and it's just for you, Celie. It's the crowd version. So like when you start listening to it, you can hear the folks in the crowd. This lady in particular, it like just cracked me up. Another thing while I'm talking about it, there's also a sound check from Daly City as well that D68A has, where if I remember, if I got them right, there's some sound check. No, I'm getting it. No, I think, yeah, actually I'm getting it wrong. So there's a sound check from LaCruces where they're playing like the interludes, like going from Let's Pretend We're Married to Irresistible B, and then playing Irresistible B. And it's one of my favorite sound checks ever. So that's also on D68A's channel. I have that in company playlist. And there's also the show from the 5th in the company playlist because D68A has that on the channel. So you can listen to 2 Cow Palace concerts as well as a sound check so that you can relive everything that Big Sexy and Arthur experienced in real time. But did everybody ask all their questions about Daly City? Can we transition to Las Cruces?
Yes.
All right, D'Angelo, I'm going to step out because, again, I'm having modem issues. Thank you for allowing me to come in and share my psychosis with everyone. And Arthur, you and I need to connect one day, man. We really do.
Absolutely.
And I'll see you all later.
All right.
Man, happy early birthday, sir.
Happy birthday.
And in part, Big Sexy, as I always
Happy
have to
birthday.
greet you and leave you, American Dream, baby. That's the wrong.
See, Lee, I'm in his biography. You know that.
Yeah, you told me. I'm
Okay.
getting that. I got to get
Okay.
that. Now that I know you in there.
Because we going to get funky, baby, if you will.
There you go.
That Big Sexy.
All right.
All
Arthur,
right.
you want to hang with us? Or
Yeah, can I hang out?
Of course. You're always welcome. Okay. All right. So let's get this party started. So here's an article from the Arizona Daily Star. And I think this is interesting that originally the Las Cruces show was supposed to be at Arizona State University, but due to technical difficulties, it forced them to change location. And Kitty Zalesko of Evening Star Productions said that the ASU facility simply couldn't handle the 30,000 pounds of equipment that has to be hung from the ceiling. They're having problems all over the country with this tour. So this is,
Put that shit in here.
Yes. So we've been like hearing little snippets, but we've never gotten this fact that it's like 30,000 pounds of equipment that's causing part of the problem of him moving venues. And then this is another ad from the El Paso Times. I always like to see in the ads. So you can see Pan Am Center. And here's a ticket from the March 7th show. And again, remember, these are not sold out. These 2 Las Cruces, and this is one from March 8th. And I'm going to read a little bit from there's a couple reviews from El Paso. I was only going to read one, but they're actually quite good. So this is one that's called Concert Goers Turn Stadium into Field of Violets. So let me see if I can find it. If not, I'm just going to have to read it from the screen because I can't see. Hold on. Here we go. All right. So by 7 p.m. Thursday, 2 hours from showtime, lines were wrapping around the Pan Am Center in Las Cruces. The purple-clad subjects already had tickets and all seats were reserved. So why the rush? And Big Sexy talked about this. In unison, a dozen fans shouted, "T-shirts. We want first choice on the T-shirts," Estella Velasquez, 24, said. The T-shirt stands always get mobbed. She and 5 others drove from El Paso in a rented Lincoln Continental. We wanted to come in style. Victor Henry, 18, said, Henry and 4 friends had camped out 2 days at the Pan Am box office to get their choice seats. It was worth it, Henry said. I like Prince's music and I like the way he dresses, he said. Prince is in a class all by himself. Henry's friend, 22-year-old Jeannie Runkes, is less interested in Prince's songs. I think Prince has a sexy body, she cooed. At the front of the line, 4 men gathered like members of a barbershop quartet and began singing, loosely speaking, Prince's hits. They had memorized every lyric, every nuance of the pop star's distinctive warble. We've been practicing, one of them said, declining to identify himself. At the front of another line, El Pasonians Liz Neves, 25, and Stacy Leggetti, 18, were clutching their $50 purple circuit tickets for the fourth row. He's so, Leggett sputtered dreamily. He's such a sensuous performer, Neves said, and both erupted into giggles. By 8 p.m., the steady stream of concert goers had turned the stadium into a field of violets. Men and women alike were swathed in purple. Some had even immersed skin and hair in a lilac wash. One woman wore a huge purple star over one eye. Another wore glittery purple paint in her hair and carried a purple rose between her teeth. She held the plastic flower under her nose, sniffed, and scowled. Some guy is selling them for $2 a shot, she said. They're worth maybe a quarter, but for Prince. She stopped and sighed loudly. For Prince, I can afford it. Not everyone was singing the praises of Prince. A middle-aged woman who grudgingly brought her son to the concert couldn't understand the furor over a simple singer. Her 12-year-old tried to explain. Mom, he wailed, Prince is the greatest. He can really sing and he can dance. Dance, she snorted. For $17.50, he better walk on water, kid.
Okay. Talk that talk, mama. Talk that talk.
So I really thought that was a really awesome, like, I love hearing from the fans, like in real time. And welcome, Duke. Love your name. And let's see what's Chris.
Can I ask y'all a question? Oh, I'm glad you put that up. That's I like that, Brother Bernay. I really do like that because it speaks to how many new people were coming to these shows, right? And how many new people were discovering Prince for the purpose. And I think that shouldn't go unnoticed. So let me ask y'all a question. I was trying to see how to phrase this question because I really do want to know an answer for it. Because, and I don't know if what I'm about to say depends on gender. So let me start here by saying I'm saying I don't know if this depends on gender. I've never liked something for any reason other than the music. That is, I have never purchased or liked an artist because of how she looked. Like, I've never said, I need to go see this person live. Now, don't get me wrong. I've said, oh, she fine, but if the music was whack, I wasn't going to be interested in a fine artist with whack music. Now, and I also want to be clear, I'm not saying that two things can't be true. That you can find somebody attractive and you like their music. But what I'm seeing in a lot of these reviews, and I'm seeing a lot of people that, and I even see, and I think, and again, for the hip hop heads, don't come after me because I understand Prince was sensuous. I've always said that one of the things, and it was also true of 80s rock as well, so I want to be clear, because we don't talk enough about how strip club culture was a big part of 80s rock culture. Like 80s rock gets let off the hook for strip club culture in ways that hip hop doesn't get let off the hook for strip. Well, who had the song "Girls, Girls, Girls" was an old.
That was Motley Crue.
Motley Crue. That was an old strip clubs. Like it was right there. So, but my question was always, I never was. You could never entice me to like music or go to a show just because somebody was fine. And even with Prince's stuff, right? For me as a heterosexual male, I found the sexual stuff funny, but it didn't get me. Like I knew some dudes who was into Prince because they thought, and I'm gonna use another word because they didn't say honeys. You can imagine what word they was using in the 80s. But they was like, well, these honeys gonna be liking it. Like they was on Prince because they thought Prince was gonna have these honeys on there, right? So was that kind of the same for everybody else? I just never got into something either because it was sexual or because the person was attractive. I'll shut up and see what y'all got to say.
No.
I'll respond as the sole female on the panel here. So I remember when I was in high school, and I think it was a teacher who asked me, "Oh, so you want to marry Prince?" And I go, "No, I want to go in the studio and watch him record. That is my dream." And so, like for me, I was never. I'm with you, Celie. Like for me, it has always been about the music, and I've never bought a ticket to go see someone other than for the music. So that's just me.
Just going to ask a clarification. Are you talking about would we go buy their stuff or get into them?
I would say even both. And let me even extend it. And I know, boy, I'm about to upset some black people from what I'm about to say.
Oh, I'm ready. Let's go.
And again, this is not a knock because these people they did their thing and whatever. You can't convince me.
Say it.
That it was anything other than the poem that made Two Live Crew famous. Like you can't. They weren't lyricists.
No,
they weren't.
No,
don't sit and tell me they were lyricists.
Yeah.
The beats were okay. Like the beats weren't
subpar at average.
You know, they were there. They were right at average. Right. What Two Live Crew was. And let me clarify the reason. Here's why I'm using. Let me tell you why I'm using Two Live Crew. So I want to be completely transparent. Right?
Yeah. No.
So when I was in high school, I was in a long distance. One of the girls I was dating lived 3 hours away from me. So for me to be cool, to try to be player, what I did was I wrote her a letter. But in that letter, I put a cassette with some Stevie Wonder and Prince songs, right? Saying that this is what's on my heart and mind to you. This is what she responded.
You being mannish.
He came in and said, "This is some foolishness."
She responded with, she sent me a letter.
You being mannish.
Came strong too.
And guess what was on the cassette? Two Live Crew. Two Live Crew was on the cassette. She sent me a cassette. My granddaughter wants to say hello to everybody.
Hey,
baby Olivia. So I'm gonna call you back in a minute, okay? All right, granddaddy working.
You're supposed to be knocking before they come in the room.
she would come in just as I was talking about Two Live.
Whole conversation going on.
Crew.
2025.
No,
go ahead and answer the question. I'm sorry.
Well, I know from my perspective, like okay, with Vanity 6, I knew Prince was involved, so I bought it. You know, with Madonna's Like a Virgin, I only got into it because Nile Rodgers had produced it. You know, Janet, I only got into it because Jam and Lewis were producing it. You know, it was never how she looked or anything like that. I mean, a lot of the females stuff that catalog of stuff like that I have is primarily who say was writing or say produced it. Now, on the flip to that, I never got into Patrice Rushen because of how she looked. She's just a phenomenal musician. I think Roberta Flack, you know, may she rest in peace. You know, like we didn't have visuals back in her heyday, things of that nature. I got into it because of the lyrical content, and she was a phenomenal musician and singer. So I don't know, you know, where that puts me, you know, but I kind of never bought. I can't say that I went out and bought some female stuff because I thought, man, she's hot. I'm really, you know, digging her. And then the joint was, you know, terrible. I just you know, if I just never bought certain, you know, I just bought stuff depending on either if they produced it or if they played on it, you know, like that was just my thing. And that's kind of where I'm at with it, you know, but I understand what you're saying with the Two Live Crew reference. I just never got into, you know, those. And there are some artists, you know, some female artists out there that I would probably put in, say, that category where I'm like, if they didn't have the visual, would they be as popular? Probably not. And so I never really been invested money or time like into it, but that's just me, you know. So,
yeah, I guess I was trying to understand the detail of the question, but I don't think I've ever bought an artist's music based on their look, but I have gotten into or paid attention to artists because of their looks. Absolutely. I mean, like you brought up Janet Jackson. I was never into Janet's music pre-Control, though I know she had music because I would see her perform, but I thought she was fine as hell. So I was a Janet fan, You know, like if she was gonna be on something, I was gonna watch it. If she had some music, I would give it an opportunity because I thought she was gorgeous and she was Michael's sister, blah, blah, blah. But if the music wasn't popping, I wasn't gonna pay attention to that. As why I didn't pay attention to her first 2 albums. But when Control, the music matched the visuals. Going back to Two Live Crew.
Before you get to the Live Crew, I think you're on point. I think I was the only dude, and I'll be honest, I think I was the only dude who missed the Guess Jeans from the Pleasure Principle video. Cause every dude was talking about them jeans, them Guess Jeans. I just like the song, like I like the song. Like, but every dude, I had to go back and rewatch the videos. Like, what they keep talking about these Guess Jeans in the Janet Jackson Pleasure Principle, and I went back. I was like, oh, but I was so into the music,
right?
That the Guess Jeans didn't matter to me. Go ahead, because I want to hear what you get.
Well, no, I was gonna say. I mean, to me, it's funny that you say that because I look at that video, how I think some people may look at the Get Off performance. You know, there are some people that will tell you, I will argue they killed that, but the thing that was the shocker of it was what he had on, what he looked like, what he did. And that was just as big of a moment. And to me, that was a goalpost moment for Prince, one of his cultural moments that was big. And to me, that Pleasure Principle, for me personally, that was a moment that I was like, yo, I've never really seen a Black woman shown like that on a video. You know what I'm saying? It was still classy, but it was certainly like, yo, I'm gonna show the curves. And I was like, yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah, okay, I remember it. I'm a super fan. I'm a super fan at this point. But I think that I'm just keeping it up.
The Pleasure Principle video was a rite of passage for a great many young men.
That was a moment.
Myself included. Michael is telling my story. Go ahead.
Absolutely. For better or for worse, I would say that video was. Some moves that Janet made a little later, I kind of jumped off because it was a little too sexual, but I'm not mad at it. But I'm not mad at where we're seeing a lot of people talk about Prince and how he looked because, quite honestly, the way I was introduced to Prince and I didn't really know who he was, but when Head was out, when I was in Houston at the time, to me, that was presented as like it had the same energy as Two Live Crew. Because of the subject matter of what it was about, it seemed very taboo. The music was popping and it wasn't mainstream. And the people that were around, which were other Black girls, my family, I saw how they took to it. They took to it the same way when I see a song like Back That Thing come up, or those were like the jams, and then they loved that dude. Like, oh, he's fine, girl. I mean, his controversy poster on the wall for a reason, not because the music was banging, because he was a gorgeous sexual Black man or whatever that, and he looked good. So I think it's a part of Prince's brand is the visual and how he looked. He played into that heavy from day one. I don't think something wrong with that. I can't hear you.
There's a couple of comments I want to reply to that is in response to what you just said, Michael. So for me, I love the controversy poster, but not for Prince's physical looks. It's because of this. Like for me, Prince was a rude boy. Prince was a rebel.
Right.
And that's just me. That's one thing. And then the other comment, Keith Upchurch, is I wanted all of you to respond to this. I think we all have to admit, in regards to Prince, the look was just as strong and powerful and important as the music. It all went hand in hand equally, in my opinion. So again, for me as a female, I wasn't attracted to Prince as a man. I was attracted to Prince in terms of his visual presentation as, how can I say this? In the Black community, and Celie, you kind of spoke to this in regards to your father, particularly growing up, in the, 50s, 60s, 70s. Like my grandfather never wore blue jeans. He didn't even own a pair of blue jeans. Right. So I was used to, I'm trying to think, did my uncles wear blue jeans? I think of my grandfather, and there was just like a particular way that you presented yourself. And I feel like Prince grew up in that era where men were clean. You know what I mean? Like when they left their homes, they wanted to be, suited and booted and just looking really good. So like for me, Prince's presentation, it was about that.
Right.
Versus like being sexual, or even though he was to some people, but it wasn't for me.
Right.
Just wanted to say that.
And I want to be clear. I'm not judging people, and I'm not saying it's bad if finding somebody attractive got you into their music. I don't want to come up. I'm simply saying it never worked like that for me. And then the second point is, and I like the thought, I'm not denying that Prince's visual was not as important as his audio. That's not what I'm denying. What I'm saying that for me, as what Prof. Duffy said and what a couple of people said, for me, it was about being rebellious. It was about the lyrics were rebellious. It was about I was a church kid, and I could tell in the lyrics Prince was a church kid. I'm going back to the very first For You album, coming all the way through For You, Prince, Dirty Mind, Controversy, 19. Those albums, that was a dude rooted in Black church culture who was in many ways both embracing and rebelling Black church culture. So for me, the visuals, how he dressed, how he looked. Like when I saw the Dirty Mind album, I said, my mom and all her church friends gonna hate this dude. And it didn't have anything to do about sexual. It was about this dude is defying whatever you think I should be as this person in this space and time. So yes, now. But I can also say that just like I was taking the rebel visual from Prince, it's clear to me that other people were taking the sexual image from Prince and getting into it. And I'm not saying that was bad. I was just trying to see how many people actually had that experience. I was trying to think of, there's this group. God, I hate to even invoke this person's name. This takes us down a whole nother line. That was this girl duo with R. Kelly. I want to say JS, because they were the Johnson sisters. And they had a song called Ice Cream and another song, and they actually today they are background singers for one of them actually married Ron Isley, and so they're background singers now for the Isley brothers. But they had an album. It was at the same time that R. Kelly was producing Ron Isley. He was producing, and I want to say the name of the group was JS, but I'm not sure because I know they were the
Love Angel.
No, it's Love Angel doesn't ring a bell. Like I said, one of their songs was Ice Cream, and the other was. But the point I was making was, I was initially put off by them because I was like,
changing faces.
I don't know if it's changing faces. Somebody look up the single Ice Cream and see if it's changing faces. Got a single Ice Cream. But I was initially put off because that's what they were. They were like completely selling the sexual nature of it. And then I listened to like 3 of those songs. I was like, oh damn, this is good. So I almost missed it because I just dismissed them as sex vixens. And then when I just heard the songs, I was like, hey, 3 of these songs on this album are really good. Yeah, so JS is the group. So JS. So, but anyway, that was the reverse for me, that they were put out there just as sex vixens. And then when I went and listened to their songs, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. Anyway, I'll shut up.
Was that what Vanity 6 was?
Yeah. Again, so Brother Dean, I'm just gonna be honest. In real time, it was just funky.
Well, absolutely right.
You
Nasty Girl, but I'm saying if you look back at the intention, isn't that exact? To me, that's what I was going to say. I could everything you said, I agree. I would say those arguments I would make for 2 Live Crew. I would put 2 Live Crew, Vanity 6, all of them in the same category. They may not have the same lyrics or sort of thing, but I think the way they are presented and they come off, they are rebellious. They're really not mainstream groups. Right. They speak to a segment of our culture that's always been there. There's always had records that talk to that, Millie Jackson and others. It's just that now they're a part of a machine and they're presented to the mainstream world. So they are looked at under a different sort of light. Two Live Crew, we was always banging Two Live Crew before it became a problem. That, you know, those songs was hitting in the hood. You know, Luke goes on to take it to court, right? And it becomes truly a rebel situation where he's going against the government and all that. But I don't think it. But he wasn't fighting to say like the shit that he's talking about is supposed to, you know, change your life in some sort of positive way. But he is to say like the party, the adult party, that's always been a part of music culture, right? What they're talking about, that wasn't anything new. It was just that rap blew up, so that stuff got exposed to the world. You know, now it's mainstream, right? We have these songs that would make Two Life.
So I guess my question is, was Luke being bumped? And again, I was going to house parties. I was walking up and down the street. You know, in Mississippi, house parties are a little different. You're walking around neighborhoods. So yes, they was being bumped in house parties. My question was always, are they being bumped because they are skilled lyricists and beat makers? Or are they being bumped because of the subject matter?
I'll tell you two things. One, they say we're from the South and not New York. So everybody from South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, I know Louisiana, they could relate. You know, like somebody not from the area, okay, not from New York, you know, doing something. And like Arthur
we was in Seattle, we could relate. We was bumping.
Okay, yeah. And then they had the extra bass in, say, the music. And if you remember back in the day, you know, like our peer group was heavy on having cars with the
trunk,
and so it was that. You never see Two Live Crew quoted and say the source, like hip hop quotables.
Different type of group.
Okay, you never see their producers being like revered or interviewed, or you know what I'm saying, talking about production techniques. There was none of that. That was part of, and then the other part was just the being vulgar for the sake of vulgarity. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and they party records, and that's what hip hop really was earlier, was party records, right?
Well, I mean, for my part in Oakland, the first time I heard Two Live Crew was actually at a high school dance, and it was, "Hey, we want some
yeah."
Had a great experience at that dance. It was the most amazing thing that was ever happening to me.
Throw that D.
Yeah. But we were partial to it because we had Too Short. And Too Short was very bass heavy, very provocative lyrics that, you know, didn't make the source column.
Quotables, yeah.
Also, never thought I'd be having a Two Live Crew conversation and a Prince conversation.
Right.
But I agree. I agree on the definitely. I agree on the rebel, you know, aspect of it. But I did think that, yeah, it was still new. It was new because
hip-hop,
like the bass heavy music was at a much slower tempo, where this was much faster,
right?
And it was a call and response, too. You know, so that made it real easy to be a crowd pleaser.
It was shock value.
And it was shock value, yeah. But to Celi's other original question, because I was really thinking about, you know, the idea, did I get down with somebody just because, you know, of how they look without the substance to it. The only time that I ever really did it was when I bought Vanity's first solo album, Wild Animal. And I wasn't a fan of the single Pretty Mess, but I bought the album anyway. And turned out that I enjoyed the majority of the rest of the album.
The album is actually really good.
Yeah. And
Mechanical Emotion on that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But the title track is great. Strap On Robbie Baby is great.
PMRC.
It is. Yeah, I can't, you know. I bought Skin on Skin. Pretty high probability that I wasn't going to enjoy it, but I bought it anyway.
Like the album
and
photo.
that's probably
brother.
that was probably the only time.
Yeah. To your thing, C. Lee. I mean the contrast the two, because Arthur brought up West Coast. When you look at Two Live Crew, they were popular for the sake of vulgarity. Luke introduced a stripping culture. You know, dancers, the things, and they were cursing a lot because they were one of the first rap groups with the stickers on the labels. And I remember going into record stores and you had to be 18 to buy them. Now, certain record stores, West End Mall, say Atlanta, you could go get it. And before they caught on, you know, they started screening. But when you fast forward to maybe like 2 years, maybe like a year, and this group from Compton is making its way across the country. And but you never hear NWA play like at a party, but you heard it everywhere else.
See, I think too, because for me, Eazy-E and WA, it sort of came different, but I'm over here on this side. So for us, I think it was, when I look at Two Live Crew and even the South, and this is why I love about early hip hop, each region had its own sound. And even though you might not be into the East Coast sound, or you might not be into the Miami-based culture and that sound, it was always respected because that's how they got down over there. You know what I'm saying? So when you had people that was from that area, they had different sounds, they had different dances, and they had different style looks. And once they started to move around the country, it sort of opened up like, okay, it doesn't all have to sound like New York. It doesn't all have to sound like Miami. You know, it doesn't all have to sound like the Bay, which had their own very distinctive style, mob music, early E40 and all that. And then when the South sort of popped off. So when people talk about these types of groups, to me, it's always like my Two Live Crew was the sound of Florida. That was their sound, you know, and there was a lot of other groups that came out that had that same type of sound. You could say it was pornography or a shock value, but I would question, you go ask those people that every weekend, every party was Two Live Crew in that area. That was the scene. They was the kings of that area. You go ask them why they was into it. I don't think they were into it because it was necessarily a shock. That was what was popping in that neighborhood. Like I had groups in our neighborhood, that's what was popping. Now you may have heard of a Sir Mix-a-Lot or something, but I knew him from something else. Like it wasn't Baby Got Back. That was kind of corny to us actually, but I can understand why that makes sense to y'all because y'all didn't know him when he was doing the real shit, which kind of sounded like Two Live Crew because there was an influence there. So I just think that the different regions in music, in this case hip hop, they just have different styles. The same way Prince in Minneapolis had their style, and might have seemed different to other. Some people could use the same argument. Well, wasn't he just successful because it was seen as some sex thing or shocking value or something? No, the music was banging. What he's talking about is banging. But I can see how it was very different from Michael or whatever else you were into at that time, or Luther or something. Yeah, Prince is not doing that. He's on a whole different, and it may seem shocking to some people, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But to go back to the original question again, getting into somebody because of how they look, we probably didn't do it, but I think the unfortunate and the reality is most people probably did. And I think the music industry of where it is today is based off of a look as opposed to their artistic value. And I think the ones who have the skills to do the music and then also know how to play the look game can be very successful when they understand that you really can't have a product that appeals to the masses without somehow having your look together and having the music. You may have a longer career possibly, but sadly, the person with the look is going to always get to the door and get a chance, right? It's always going to be that way. That's just the way an industry of commerce is going to be. They're going to put the girl who looks pretty versus the girl who may have the great voice, but maybe a little overweight to their standards or something. And we've seen that through the 80s. We've seen that all the time, you know. So I don't know.
Yeah. And you're right, brother. And I'll just end on this. It's a rhetorical question because I know most of the people in the chat knows this, and I know everybody on the screen knows this. To your point, brother Dean, what was the first video MTV ever played? And that answers the question. Now, if you remember the very first video that MTV ever played, that answers the question. And I didn't think about that until after I posed the question. So I'm with you. I was just interested to see what everybody's experience in that had been.
All right. So we're gonna keep it moving in terms of El Paso time. So I want to read a little bit of this. And it says tickets for the Prince concert at 8 p.m. Friday in the Pan Am Center in Las Cruces are still available at Ticketmaster and the Pan American box office. As of late Thursday, about 1,000 tickets for Friday's performance were unsold at El Paso Ticketmaster outlets. When the lights dimmed at 10:30 p.m., the roar of a Himalayan avalanche rose from the stands. I'm reading this one because I really like how descriptive Edna Gunderson is. And it's
I love her. I love Edna Gunderson. Thank you. I didn't know who that was. Okay, I said it, but I love her.
She has a way with words, so I do want to read them. So I'm not going to read it all, but you'll get a sense. It's different from some of the other writers. But his words were smothered by the deafening screams. As a rain of flowers tumbled from overhead, the band charged into Let's Go Crazy. The revolution pumped out the beat with the velocity and precision of a machine gun. As the song crashed to a close, Prince twirled on his heels and squeezed a barrage of unearthly notes from his guitar. Only 8,000 fans gathered for the first of two Prince concerts, more than 3,000 short of a sellout. But it was an enthusiastic and dedicated congregation, and Prince gave them all he had. As the band percolated, the bubbly rhythms of Delirious, Prince danced with the flawless grace of a deer fleeing a hunter. Chippendale.
What?
Wait for it, Michael. His bumps and grinds made the Chippendale male strippers look like Santa's elves in a grade school play.
Hilarious.
Next came the hot and funky 1999, boiling with fury. Without skipping a beat, one song segued into another amid bursts of lights and clouds of fog swirling between swaying lace curtains. The first half hour was nothing short of a holiday. A kaleidoscope of lights drenched the stage, and every musician was decked out like a Christmas tree. Prince, of course, was a purple Christmas tree, a motorized purple Christmas tree. His fancy footwork and daring choreography kept the eyes as entertained as the ears. In fact, with so many visual stimuli battering the crowd, it was easy to overlook some of the incredible musical treasures unfolding in the background. Prince practically oozed talent. He sang, danced, and played at a furious pace, but never seemed to break a sweat. This is one thing that I thought of often is that he didn't break. I mean, he would sweat, but he wouldn't be sweating like, let's say, James Brown sweats when he was performing. That always was interesting to me. His voice was controlled, smoothly shifting gears from cool and charming to pained and threatening. Prince sang Little Red Corvette, one of his many wry sexual metaphors with sass and passion, his voice ringing from sweet to demonic. And that's all I'm going to read. I think this is I just love Etna's way with words, and I just really wanted to read that one. All right, so to keep it moving, I'm not going to read this one, but
can you go back for one quick second? I'm sorry. Are those polka dot? Love second connection.
And I think somebody asked whether or not Edna Gunderson was in a P documentary. She was in the what's the one? The UK one. Oh God.
I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Someone asked if Edna Gunderson was in the Prince documentary, and the answer is yes. She was in the. Oh my God!
What's the BBC?
Yeah, the BBC one.
What was it called? Something omnibus or something.
Yes. She was in the BBC one. So yeah, I just wanted somebody answer. Omnibus, yeah. She was in the BBC one. Yeah.
So Michael, I zoomed in and it's actually flowers.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's a When Doves Cry couch. Don't let the estate see that, boy. They put that on their website.
Musical portrait. Thank you, EA. Musical portrait.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
When Doves Cry couch.
Okay, so I'm gonna skip that one, and then let's see, where is it? Hold on.
Sheila E. Overshadows Revolution.
Yeah, that I love that this person. Let me see if I can find it. So, because that's the part I want to read. Where is it? Oh my God, this is such a big article. Hold on. Let's see. Where did I want to start?
For girl answers.
The superb. Oh, here we go. All right. So the superb light show began drawing more interest than the music, as did the elaborate Renaissance type costumes and the extensive stage. And they're talking about Prince's part of the show. Prince's conversations with God and the audience, his obsession with sex and recordings of strange conversations that were heard on different speakers added to the show and easily could have become the show. Unfortunately, long renditions of some of the songs, especially Baby I'm a Star and Purple Rain, only wore on the exhausted crowd and detracted from Prince's normal spunk. The show was extremely rehearsed and the entertainers had too many costume changes. Much of the show was too reminiscent of scenes from Prince's movie Purple Rain, which gave the audiences few surprises. Okay, here we go. Sheila E., on the other hand, was superb. Her funky act was highly choreographed and her musicians were great. Sheila's specialty is singing and percussion, especially timbales and bongos. She was truly impressive playing the timbales during such songs as The Belle St. Mark and Glamorous Life and the bongos during Erotic City. So I'm glad, Michael, that you noticed that, because that was one of the reasons why I wanted to read this one. And I love that even though this is a review of the Purple Rain tour, the image is of Sheila. And so, and I thought that was like really, really great. Okay. So, I just wanted to read a little bit of this one, which is called Prince Presides Over Evening of Post-Primal Therapy. And it says, beauty, class, humor, astounding percussive prowess, and neon drumsticks raise the leggy Sheila E.'s moves way above those of a burlesque queen also. Prince's stage production opens with a shower of artificial carnations on all assembled and uses a lot of basic but effective fog. You know, I like side-eyeing this shade on the fog because I love it. Wind, backlighting, lasers, and a sound system with a deafening jet turbine decibel level that puts performance in a league with jack lighting deer. So,
you know, I always get interested when I see headlines that talk about Prince in this context of either post-punk or new wave, or it's not, you know, it's not these headlines. He's not an R&B artist anymore. He's not a funk artist anymore. He's this other thing because the term alternative really wasn't in the vernacular at that time.
Yeah, it really wasn't. But what I find interesting, because I'm trying to search, he isn't really talking about post-punk though, because if
right,
you read
from what you read,
because he's talking about Elvis, Little Richard, Jimi Hendrix. He says something called the Love Priest persona. So I don't know who Love Priest or what Love Priest was about, but I think he just used that for the title.
Wouldn't that be Barry White?
Yeah.
The Love Priest? I mean.
Yep, it could be. Yes, for sure.
Can you go back to the article real quick?
Sure, yeah.
Bob Groves. That's him right there?
Mm-hmm. Bob Groves.
That's all I need to
I mean, I would think it's usually, you know, editors that make up the headlines, right? Not necessarily the writers, even if they do suggest a headline.
Yeah, good point.
A haircut.
Yeah.
What did you say? The haircut?
I'm not taking no cultural cues on music from that cat. No disrespect, but.
All right, we're gonna move. I have just two more, and I'll be really quick, but I want to read them, and then we'll be done. Prince performed concerts and Cruces hid from fans an EP. It took the 54 rooms on the 3 top floors of the Sheraton in downtown El Paso to house Prince and his entourage. The rock singer and star of the movie Purple Rain performed concerts at the Pan American Center in Las Cruces Thursday and Friday. His security team apparently decided he would be safer from the fans in El Paso. The security did a good job by having him stay in El Paso, said Vicky McHughes, assistant manager at the Sheraton. Some of Prince's crew stayed in Las Cruces. I guess that's where all the fans were because there weren't too many people wandering around the hotel trying to get a look at him. By 6 p.m. Friday, Prince had gotten into a bus and headed for his second and final show at the Pan American Center. He took all his luggage. Right after the concert, he was going to get on a plane and leave town, McHugh said. The 3 floors were secured in advance for him. McHugh said he had a lot of people with him because all the rooms were filled. While at the Sheraton, McHugh said Prince stayed in his room most of the time. Most of the employees got a glimpse of the star, but they didn't get souvenirs. We're not allowed to ask for tickets or souvenirs, she said. Besides, he kept to himself and his staff. He wasn't wandering around. That made it possible for other patrons to stay in the lower levels of the motel, she said. Because all of Prince's food ordering, delivering, and talking was done by his security men, it was not known exactly which room Prince slept in or what he ate, drank, or did at the hotel. So I thought that was an interesting article. And then my final article for this week is Prince pleases palate with purple pizza.
More alliteration.
Yes.
That's a lot of P's in that.
A lot of P's. Say that 5 times in a row. Okay. This is at 3 a.m. today. El Paso caterer Joe Clifford sighed with relief. The Purple Rain tour crew had gulped down their last meal in El Paso. 32 super deluxe pepperoni packed purple pizzas. Clifford had never cooked for a royal crew before, but then there's never been royalty quite like Prince Rogers Nelson, the star of the show, who dined on Clifford's cheese enchiladas Friday night. It's been one nonstop meal after another, Clifford, chef and owner of Tables and Parties, said hurriedly as she prepared to load a van with a Mexican buffet of tantalizing Tex-Mex food to be delivered to Las Cruces. Clifford cooked every meal Prince ate during his 2-day concert stop in Las Cruces, where the performer was rumored to have lodged. What exactly does Prince of the Revolution, his band, like to eat? Barbecue and lots of fruit, Clifford said about the 8-page menu of meals she prepared, including this morning's 3 o'clock snack of pizzas for Prince and his entourage and crew of 140 people. He ate barbecue for dinner Thursday night and Mexican food Friday, she said. Besides the spicy enchiladas, Prince pleased his palate with Spanish rice, refried beans, guacamole, chili con queso, and a spinach salad he requested to perfection. Though the food was prepared at Clifford's Montana Avenue business, she says she had a stove installed at the Pan American Center to keep meals warm before Prince and Sheila E., his rumored romancing woman of the moment, dined by candlelight in his dressing room. We even did the tables in purple with a Mardi Gras look, she said. Clifford, who worked around the clock in order to meet the unusual eating hours of Prince and his pals, said it was worth the experience even though she never met the diminutive performer. His menus were sent to me in advance, she said. We prepared it, delivered it, and set it up in his dressing room. Then we served everyone else. But we were told all was fine. It's been exciting knowing you're cooking for Prince and the Revolution. All right.
Quick question. No one has to answer this, but I just got a question for the people on the screen and in the chat, because I know we all like our pizza different ways. If you get your pizza or a slice of pizza with some topping that you don't like, do you just take that topping off and eat the pizza, or you just don't eat the pizza? I'm always curious about that. If people, so I've just wondered if you take that one topping or what off and eat it, or just don't eat it.
I take the toppings off.
Okay.
If it's pork, I toss it.
Okay.
I can't
I get the because that takes care of everything. I get with the pork, no doubt.
Am I the only one that believes all 32 pieces were for chick?
Hilarious.
Maybe 30 of them. maybe 30 of them. Maybe. Hold on. Let's see. 15 with the chick. Probably another 10 went to the security squad.
Put that in the documentary.
Yes. Yeah. That's a documentary we need. Big chick and the pizza. That's what we need.
I would say I'd probably have to take it because we ain't wasting no money over here. So.
All right.
You don't eat.
And look, and to Brother Turnbull's dismay. So when my stepchildren were young, my wife and I didn't eat pork, right? We eventually went back to eating pork, but my stepson does not eat pork. So when his children, my grandchildren, come to the house, to his dismay, his children eat pork at my house. I don't know what you eat at your dad's house.
Oh man, that's a conversation.
Okay, so I'm trying to be mindful of time. So far in 1985, 41 live shows, and we're going to skip through that. I was going to ask you, Celia, about Sly, but we're going to talk about that another day because I know. And I want to remind everyone, if you're on the West Coast and you're going to be in LA on Friday, myself, Karen Turman, Cassie Ritchie, Kirsty Fairclough, and Robin Shumays, we're doing a Prince and fashion panel Friday morning called Dress to Thrill. And, come by, say hello. The tickets are free. And it is the Pop Conference 2025 at USC. So just wanted to let everybody know.
I'm trying to remember, do they eventually stream those or post those?
No.
Okay.
So last year they actually posted the keynotes, and last year was incredible because Wendy and Lisa were one of the keynotes, and George Clinton was the other keynote on 2 different nights. So both of those are posted from last year. I can't remember. I know like a lot of vibe writers are getting together for a keynote, but I can't remember the specific vibe writers. And they're also doing like a symphonic tribute to George Quincy Jones. So I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah.
That would be a good idea, though. George Clinton symphonic.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, Michael. Yeah, that would be super, super fantastic. All right. And let me see what else I got. We already talked about that. Keep Dr. Funkenberry and Troy Gua in your thoughts, prayers. Send them words of encouragement. If you can't contribute to their GoFundMe, there's a lot of goodies in the accompanying playlist. We already talked about the Daly City shows as well as LaCruces. There's a sound check for LaCruces as well. There's tons of Roy Ayers in here. If you haven't listened to Roy Ayers, I do want to take the time to say, listen to Roy Ayers. His music is so wonderful, is very, very healing, and you just can't go wrong. I started off this particular episode with Life is Just a Moment, which has always been one of my favorite Roy Ayers songs, and I think is really, really important in context of how many people we're losing and the times that we're in. And also, Everybody Loves the Sunshine. If you haven't listened to that song, you must. And then Searching is my personal favorite, as well as Coffee is the Color, which is from the soundtrack from Pam Grier's movie Coffee, where Ayers actually did the soundtrack to that. And I also have multiple versions of Sweet Tears, the original that Roy Ayers did, as well as his collaboration with Nuyorican Soul and, Masters at Work. There's an incredible collab they did with Sweet Tears. I also have a lot of songs of Angie Stone. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about, we had already talked about Angie Stone's collaboration with Prince last time, but Angie Stone actually wrote a song with Jill Jones. So we'll do a quiz. Anybody in the chat knows the song that they did. It was actually a B-side for G-Spot. Does anybody remember the B-side? Let's see about our people on the screen here. What's the B-side
song?
Oh, maybe I got my.
I could be wrong. I'm fascinated. I didn't know that.
I thought Bleecker was the B-side of Mia Boca.
It is. It's Mia Boca. Yes. Oh my God. So Duke. Okay, Duke is.
Ooh, Duke with the win.
Yeah, Duke with the win. Baby Cries I. It's one of my favorite songs, and it was co-written by Angie Stone.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yes.
And that's in fact, Jill posted about it on Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah, she it's either Facebook or Instagram, which I'm on neither, so I have no idea how I know this. But Jill posted about, and she also posted about Angie looking out for her and getting her gigs when she was stuck. That time she was in that kind of limbo time with Prince. She talked about Angie looking out for her and getting her gigs while she was in that limbo time.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I just want everybody to be aware of that. And with that being said,
before you go,
yep.
2 final things.
Yep.
The album, I said Clutter, the Brown Mouth album, it's actually called Skeletons, and it's on Spotify. I have no idea how I know that, but you can go to Spotify. So if you want to hear that Brown Mark album, Skeletons, the whole album is on Spotify. And the article where I said that Prince talked about being okay, that he think parents should, that he's okay with stickers because parents should know. That's actually in that 1990 Rolling Stone article with Carlin.
Okay.
So if you go to the 1990 Rolling Stone article with Carlin, he talks about he thinks that parents have a right to know to what their children are listening. That's it. I'm done.
All right, Michael. You know the CeeLo.
All right. Well, happy birthday once again to Big Sexy. Shout out to you, sir. Thanks for coming through and sharing your story. Salute to Arthur coming through and sharing his story as well. Arthur, can you remind us of the name of your podcast?
It is. It's Entry Points. My podcast is Entry Points. And oh my God, believe it or not, I have taken delivery of the next Music Snobs episode. Uh-oh. And we will have it up, oh God willing, in the next week. I'm finalizing that after I get off this call.
Nice. Cool. Looking forward to that.
Music Snobs and Entry Points. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Big Rick, sir, thank you for coming through once again.
Always a pleasure to be with y'all.
Much love to you. And also the Reverend, you dig? Seeley, thank you, man, for coming in. Appreciate you. Love you. Thank you so much. D'Angela, again, we bow down. Show our sister some love. You dig? To the audience out there, thank you. Salute. We cannot. Oh, there go the baby. Hello. And thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys make the show what it is. Love Absolutely. The questions, the insights.
Hit those like buttons.
Hit the likes, of course. But please, we love just your presence every week. Couldn't do it without you. With that said, work it like a job. See you next time. Peace.
Peace.